Lansing, Michigan. Hello there.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
I have a question for you, and thank you for taking my call.
You're very welcome.
I was in law school for 3 years, and I failed out because of medical reasons.
What kind of medical reasons?
My wife had 2 miscarriages.
I mean, not medical reasons for you.
That's correct. But I was unable to study because of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I failed out, and right now we have a baby on the way, and financially we're pretty strapped.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to return to law school, but I'm not sure if it's financially feasible.
Well, why would it not be? I mean, are you able to work and go to school?
Yes, I can.
Well, why would that not be financially feasible?
Because currently my wife is working as a waitress.
Yeah, I'm talking about you. Well, is there any? I'm serious now. How much? What I'm trying to get to is you should be able to work and go to school full time.
Yes. Well, I agree with that, but I don't have a job or a so-called career. I'm not ensconced in a career right now.
I'm sorry?
I'm not ensconced in a career. I'm working for a temp agency.
Well, that's fine, but how much are you earning?
About $9 an hour.
All right, so if you work 40 hours a week, that's $360 a week. Can you live on that?
Depending on where we live. Right now we live in Lansing, where it's pretty, the cost of living is pretty moderate.
Well, but where would you go? Would you go to school in Lansing?
Well, no. The main issue is I don't know of any schools that will take me back or that will accept me after having failed out of a law school.
Well, under the circumstances, have you gone back to the dean of students? Where'd you go to school before?
Excuse me?
What school did you go to?
It's called Thomas Cooley in Lansing, Michigan.
I don't know the school. Is it a small school?
No, it's pretty big, actually.
And have you discussed this with them?
Yes, I have, and their rule is that to be accepted back, you must have a substantial chance of reaching a certain grade point average.
Well, what was your GPA for the first 2 years?
For the first 2 years, it was about a 2.1, which
you were just barely hanging in by your fingernails.
Right. The one thing about the school is, though, it accepts almost everyone, but makes it very difficult to get out of. And so their grading policy is different than a lot of the better schools like Harvard or Yale. So a 2.1 at this school may be equivalent to a 2.7 or 2.8.
Well, but even 2.1 or 2.7 or 2.8 is nothing to get excited about.
True.
It's not even a B average.
True, but it's good enough to become a lawyer.
Well, that may be. But if you're going to have to persuade them that the reason that you flunked out was because of the problem with your wife.
Right, but their rule is very hard and fast, and if you don't have a chance of getting back to a 2-point GPA in one term of being back, then they don't let you back. So my GPA is down to about a 1.8, and they realize that it would be impossible to get my GPA back to a 2-point after one term.
What would it take to get it back?
It would take about 2 terms worth of B's to get it back, and they only give you 1 term back.
How many terms of A's?
It would take maybe 16 credits of all A's.
That's 1 semester of A's.
Right, but it's not. I would love to go back there, but they won't. I mean, they've already told me that I don't have a chance of coming back.
Did one person tell you this, or did you submit something to a committee?
I haven't submitted it yet, no.
Well, why don't you submit it?
I'm going to do that, but the other issue I'm dealing with is there are non-ABA accredited law schools in this country, and I don't know the quality of these schools. I was told it would be easier to get into one of these schools and complete my degree at one of these schools. I don't know if it's something that's worthwhile doing. And
would these schools allow you to pass the bar?
Yes, they would.
Well, then what difference does it make?
It doesn't make a difference.
Well, then why ask the question, seriously?
Well, I guess my question is, I live in Lansing, Michigan. These schools are spread out across the country, some in big cities and some in small cities, and if I were to get into these schools, I would have to pack up my family and somehow find a job.
Or leave your family where they are.
For how long?
A year.
That's pretty difficult to do.
Why?
To leave my family for a year?
A lot of people do it, fella.
Really?
Well, you think people in the Navy get home every afternoon?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to be hard, but it's nothing's easy.
Mm-hmm.
But then there could be a lot of arguments to be made that the fact that your wife was ill shouldn't have affected your grades that dramatically.
Right. My other question was going to be, I could do that. I could try to get back and finish my law degree, or do something that I've always really wanted to do was become a psychotherapist by getting my master's in social work in a social work program.
Well, that means starting all over in a master's program.
Right, and that means starting, it would take about 4 years at night versus the 2 years at night of finishing my law degree.
What's wrong with going full-time days?
Well, to me to go full-time days, my wife would have to work full-time, and
well, hold it. Why?
If I went to school full-time during the day,
yeah,
how would I support my family?
Well, I managed for 5 years.
Really?
Yes, sir, and I had 3 kids.
What would how would I mean...
I don't know. I don't know what you would do. I know what I did, everything I could to scrounge you a buck, including driving a cab from 4 in the afternoon to 4 in the morning.
Right. I mean, should I feel ashamed that I'm 31 years old and I'm not in a career yet?
Hell no. What I feel ashamed about is the idea, well, I can't do this and I can't do that and I can't stay away from my family and I can't work. Nonsense. This is the most forgiving country in the world. Forgives failure. There are countries where an academic record like yours would never ever be lived down, and there are certainly countries where academic records such as I achieved in high school would never have allowed me to go on to undergrad and grad school. This is a very forgiving country. But, I mean, you're painting this, well, poor me, I flunked out, and I'd be away from my family, and who cares? You are the beneficiary of all this, and so would your family be the beneficiary. If that means taking a hiatus for a year, that's the way it is. No big thing.
But it can be done.
Of course it can be done. So I gave a lecture, I suppose is the wrong term, but I guess it's appropriate, to a fellow a little older than you are about this. And I said something to the extent that you can work full-time and go to law school. And I had a law professor call and said, I usually agree with you. He said, but you don't know what you're talking about. And you got to go to law school full-time and all that crap, right? Well, I pointed out, among other things, that my daughter recently graduated from law school with honors and ran 3 companies the entire time she was going to law school. Really? Full-time, that's right. 3, not 1, 3 companies. And they all made money. Wow. And I suggested to this professor, if he was really serious, to put up $1 million in cash. And I'll put $1 million up in cash. And I got the $1 million. And I'll go back to law school. And I'll graduate in the top 10% of my class and continue to do my show and write a book or 2 and my column and the rest of it. No takers so far. Well, there's one other related issue, and that is the fact that my finances are pretty poor, and I'm considering filing for personal bankruptcy. How much do you owe? Excluding student loans? Yeah, student loans are not dischargeable. I was told after 7 years they would be. That may or may not be the case. I don't think so. Okay. Well, excluding student loans, I owe about $7,000. Well, that would be insane to go bankrupt. Why is that? Because if you were in law school for 2 years and you're not aware of that. That how long a bankruptcy stays with you, the stigma of the bankruptcy for 10 years and in theory for life in actuality. For $7,000? Well, even though I haven't paid on these bills in over a year. Without regard to that. Bankruptcy, I think probably you ought to get your act together, work your butt off for a year or so, pay off your bills, get yourself in a little better shape, both emotionally, mentally, as well as financially, and then come back and start again. I do wish you well, kid. I do indeed. But hey, this is a forgiving, very forgiving country. But you got to work for the forgiveness. That's what it comes down to. El Paso, your turn. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm a long-time listener and first-time caller, and I'm actually not too nervous.
Oh, no reason to be.
My question is a very simple one. I own a home that my mother is living in, and I'm living in an apartment with my wife.
Try it again?
I own a home that my mother is living in.
That's a separate building altogether?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm living in an apartment with my wife.
A rented apartment?
Yes.
Okay.
And the house is a bit big for her, and she's thinking about she wants to move into a mobile home, in a mobile home park where she has a lot of friends. And this is something that's going to happen. Okay. And as I've looked at mobile homes, the question came up, do I want to buy a new one, or do I want to buy a used one?
Hold it. You say you want to buy. This for your mother?
For my mother, yes. I'm sorry. For my mother to live in with her friends. And considering being an elderly citizen and life expectancy.
How old is Mama Bear?
76.
All right.
Simple question is, do I want to get a new one?
I would buy a used one.
You'd buy a used one?
On site.
Considering resale value and all that?
Yeah, considering the fact that they depreciate like crazy.
Right.
How much would a new one cost you?
About 22.
How much would the used one cost you?
Decently around 15 or 16.
I think you'd probably do better than that. I'd buy the used one for me. Mobile homes depreciate like mad. At 22, they'll be worth 15 pretty quick. Now, are you rich for having money?
Not really, no.
Point is, if your mother has a great preference for a new one and you can afford the hit, well, that's another story. Is it her money or your money?
Basically my money. I'd be putting about 6 down, and the payments would be well within our reach.
Yeah, but the problem is, if something were to happen to your mother and you bought the new one, the likelihood is you wouldn't even get your 6 back. No, never mind that. You might not even get out without writing a check. The 6 would go away, I'm sure. I think you're better off with a decent used one. The older, the better. In this case, because you could buy an elderly one that would be perfectly acceptable in terms of a place for your mother to live, for probably a third number you mentioned.
Well, the market's pretty affluent down here in terms of the demand. And as I've looked around, anything less than around 13 or 14 isn't even worth living in.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, then I'd still go for the 13 or 14.
Okay.
Not 22.
Okay.
I think you stand to take a smaller hit.
What do you know about value and size? In other words, is a larger one better to be sold than a medium size?
Double wide versus a single wide and so forth?
Right.
That depends in large measure on what's happening locally, conditions. One of the big variables is the park where the thing is located. I mean, there are, as in almost every area, the more and the less desirable mobile home parks. Those that are very strict are, generally speaking, the more desirable.
That's what this one is. It's a well-kept. It's basically a senior citizen type park, and quite an interest of a lot of senior citizens to be in that park. I'm lucky to be getting a spot there at all.
What do you mean you say getting a spot? What does that mean?
A lot.
Well, is it not possible to buy one on site?
Not at this time, no. I did look at one used one that they were asking like 15 or something, and it was just trashed.
Well, that's not the one you want. I mean, generally speaking, in particularly in senior citizens, this is an unfortunate fact of life that older people are dying, and their families want to unload their homes.
That's a consideration.
Well, it's a consideration. The fact is that under that circumstance, in an area where the predominant number of people are elderly, there's almost always somebody dying, and the property goes on the market. What I'm saying is, how big is this place? Real quick, how many units?
I have no idea. I really don't. It's
10,200. What?
Probably around 250.
All right. In that case, there's generally going to something come on the market pretty regularly through death. If you're just a little bit patient, I think you'll find a much better deal used. Your choice. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Our telephone number, should you wish to join us with an open line right as we speak, 800-743-8000. 800-743-8000. Dayton, Ohio. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. Good evening.
Well, good evening, baby. What's on your mind?
Well, I have 2 questions. I have a 1987 van with 41,000 miles, and I'm on my 5th trip to the dealer to get a repair on the fuel gauge.
The gauge?
Yeah.
What's the problem?
Well, I don't know exactly if they've corrected anything or if they've just had it in. It's covered under warranty because the first trip was in under the wire. But since the extended warranty has expired, they're not giving us any problem as far as willingness to work on it. But I'm wondering if we have any extras that we should ask for or that they should be offering for inconvenience.
No, dear, you don't get extras for inconvenience, I'm afraid. I mean, I'm not sure. Do you have a digital or do you have a
it's a gauge. No digits. Digital.
The problem it seems to me there's only a couple of areas it could be the problem in the float,
which was fixed the first time. They put in a new sending unit, And then we took that back since that didn't correct it. We put in a second one, said it was probably a defective unit. That didn't work, so we took it back. They said they'd have to order the actual dash gauge. They ordered that. We went back. They put it in, and it didn't work, so now we're on our, I think it's 5th trip. And it's in the shop. It'll be worked on tomorrow, so I'm crossing my fingers that they can find out what's wrong.
Well, I don't know that there's anything more. As long as they keep showing a willingness to continue, I don't think there's anything much you can do about it.
Okay. And the second question is, I'm a stay-at-home mom.
A stay-at-home mom.
Yeah, housewife, as they used to call me.
Also known as super mom. House, yes. Okay, housewife.
Yeah.
And HW.
Yeah, right. I have 3 in school and 2 at home. And I'm yearning to have a check. I had a career before I had children.
Yearning for a check. I love it. What did you do before you started having 5 kids? Congratulations. I think it's great we had 5.
Thank you. I worked at a newspaper.
In what capacity?
I did a little bit of everything, mostly clerical, receptionist, dabbled in a little writing, and I haven't worked for 13 years outside the home.
What would you like to do? Besides yearn for a check?
Well, right now I'd still like to stay home. My baby is just going to turn 2, and I'd like to be here in the home, but I don't want to babysit. And that's about the only thing I can think of that I could do while I'm home.
Well, home endeavors are difficult to come by, although things are changing in that respect in the electronic world that we are starting to inhabit. Whereas there are companies that do have use for people like yourself that are computer literate and can perform the same kinds of functions at home as they could in their office environment, and modem the stuff over to the office. So for all intents and purposes, you are in the office. Now that kind of work is available.
Well, that would take an outlay of some money. And
also requires some skills.
Right. I wouldn't have too much trouble, I don't think, catching on to the skills. I did work with the computers before I left, but I'm not sure that we can spend the money on the computer at this point, since I've been staying at home and pinching pennies.
I don't know what to tell you. There are many more people like yourself that want to work at home than there are tasks for them to perform at home. That's the cold reality. And the advertising that you see for jobs at home are not all, but almost all uniformly will leave you poorer at the end than you are at the beginning.
Right.
Or put it another way, if they require any money up front from you, take it on a duffy and run.
Right.
It's difficult to find.
Well, I've been trying to think of an invention, and it seems like everyone's a step ahead of me.
Well, that's a whole other program. I do wish you well, sweetheart. Good luck with that van. Hey, I've got a problem. Maybe one of you guys out there could give us a call while I'm taking a little time out here. Because the people that are working with me don't seem to have an answer. I have a radio in my car, and the AM side deteriorates and goes away. It's up to the point now where it lasts about 2 minutes and goes away. It starts out very clear, it distorts and goes away. Now, I sent the thing back to the factory. They said there's nothing wrong with it. There's some kind of a motherboard in there of some sort. And I said, well, replace it, because there's certainly something wrong. They said only the antenna or this. I spent $175 to have it replaced, and still, when you turn and the FM works just fine. But on the AM side, it lasts a minute or two. It gets very distorted, garbled, weak, and goes away. Wait a couple of hours, come back, and the AM side will work just fine for another 60 to 90 seconds. The fellow at the radio place doesn't seem to have a clue what's going on. If you are a radio aficionado, or you can come up with something I might be able to tell these folks, I'd be very grateful. The number is 703-413. What is that number? 8381, I believe. Is that correct, Dan? 8381? 703-413. 8381. If you could help me out, I'd be really grateful because I'm going to have the thing ripped out and sent back again. But they say, well, there's nothing wrong with it. It works on the bench for hours. Well, it sure doesn't work on my car for hours. Less than 2 minutes. 703-413-8381 if you can help me. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. We go to Cantrell, Illinois. Hello there.
Oh, Bruce, this is Ron.
Yes, Ron.
Okay. On your radio question, I have a couple quick questions, and that maybe will narrow it down a little bit.
Go for it.
Okay. What kind of car is it? Is it a
Lincoln?
Lincoln. That's a Ford, then.
Yep.
Okay.
It's true. It's a Ford.
All right. We'll see. I see all kinds of them. And what year is it?
89.
It's an 89.
Yeah.
And they replaced the motherboard?
Yes, they did.
Okay. I'd replace the radio.
The entire radio?
The entire radio. Get an updated one. Get one from if it'll fit, a newer model.
Why is that?
Because it may be an inherent problem with that particular series of radios.
Well, I've never had it in my other one.
Do you have another one at the same year?
Yeah, well, I have a 87, which is the same radio, I believe.
Okay, well...
And I can't imagine that this is... I wouldn't have heard about it. I used to rent 89. I bought an 89, put it in storage for 2.5 years, because I didn't like the 90s.
Okay.
And I dragged it out of storage less than 2 years ago, so it's a relatively new automobile from that perspective.
Oh, okay.
But the point is that I have... When 89 was the current year, I used to rent Lincolns all the time. And I never had that problem with the AM side. This one I had for close to 2 years, operating for 2 years since last Christmas. A year ago Christmas, never had a problem.
Right.
And all of a sudden, the AM just, you listen to it, and it, for about, as I said, for now it's down to 2 minutes, and it starts to get very, very distorted, and then goes away and dies completely. FM works just fine.
Okay.
I sent it out to California twice, not once, twice. They said they bench tested it, plays fine on the bench. You tell me.
Okay, there's another thing you can have them test is the antenna itself.
They mentioned the antenna. But why would the FM side work so well if the antenna was it's a power antenna?
Well, you have a difference of frequency that is so great it's unbelievable.
Well, why would the radio work in a real strong and clear for 60 seconds and then deteriorate? What would the antenna have to do with that?
They build up a resistance between the ground, which is your car body, and the center. And if, say it's a moisture thing or something in that order, or just pure electrical current drain, it may ground all those frequencies, the lower frequencies out.
How would you test that? Just put a different antenna on?
No, you just unhook the antenna from the back of the radio.
Yeah. And
take an ohm meter and measure between the car body and the center of the antenna.
And what would that tell you?
That would tell you if there's any resistance. It should be open. There should be no resistance an infinity of resistance.
What does that mean?
There's no resistance there.
And if there is resistance, that's the problem.
That's most probably the problem. If not, I'd replace the whole radio. Takes 5 minutes to do.
5 minutes and how much money?
Well, you just go to a place and tell them to measure your antenna.
Antenna or radio?
The antenna. No, you're unplugging the antenna from the radio.
You said replace the radio.
Right. If the antenna checks out, replace the radio.
Sorry, it's just not worth fixing, huh?
No, definitely not. Boy, you throw good money after bed into an electronic device anymore. Same thing with VCRs and TVs.
VCR I can understand. The radio looks like a pretty simple device to me.
Yeah, but there's so much to them nowadays because they do AM and FM.
Yeah, well, they've been doing that for 25 years.
Well, yeah, but they're real cheap now.
Yeah, but the car radios are anything but cheap.
$200?
Well, not a decent one, I don't think.
Well, I mean, if you want a cassette player, that's extra.
Well, there's a cassette player in there now, of course.
Okay, but it's still a factory one.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's it could be just that radio, but it's not. To take it someplace and have them really troubleshoot it and fix it. No one fixed it.
Mm-hmm.
it would cost you so much in bench time to test that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it would add up, and you'd end up paying more than what you how much you got into it?
About $175.
Okay. $100 more, and you could have had a brand new one.
Interesting. Good thought. Hey, thank you very much, Guy. I will have him check the antenna carefully. I appreciate it. Because he keeps saying that it could be the antenna. I don't know what could be wrong with the antenna since the FM side works, but maybe there is a difference in the frequencies. Salem, Ohio. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
How are we doing?
Hey, I'm an old ham radio operator and a repairman from OT 39.
OT 39.
OT 39. And by golly, I don't really think the antenna is the problem. Now, there's a motherboard that has both the FM and the AM.
I replaced that.
Well, I know, but there's a head end that is for the AM, and there's a head end that's for the FM.
What's a head end?
Well, the tuning end of the receiver that is feeding into the motherboard.
Uh-huh.
Now, if that AM half would be bad, you could test it very simply, and maybe they did, using a chill spray. You spray the components and make them get real cold, and it'll fail, and it'll tell you which transistor probably goes bad, because I've had the same thing happen on mine, but I just thumped my old, can I say the Buick?
Sure.
I can thump my old Buick and it comes back on. But on the FM it works perfectly good, and I know that that's the problem, but I'm just too lazy to haul it out.
Huh. And what do you call it, the end?
Well, actually, it would be the oscillator on the AM part of the radio, because there's an AM oscillator and an FM oscillator, which feeds into the motherboard. But if they put it on a bench, they can sit it there for a week or 2 weeks and it'll never bother if the current is high. Now, maybe your battery might be a little bit lower or higher, as the case may be, and the oscillator would fail. That's simply all it is.
I'll be darned.
So you just get some chill spray, or conversely, put the radio under a blanket. And if worse comes to worse, go to the junkyard and buy a new one.
Somebody says replace it. This is Vance Packard.
That's a last resort.
Vance Packard lives.
Well, that's right.
The throwaway society.
Well, you know, I'm a nobody from Salem, but I've listened almost as long as since you've been in the hospital. And being an old flyboy, I can appreciate what you've gone through.
That goes back a while, doesn't it?
That's right. An old B-25 radio operator gunner from World War II.
Were you really?
Yeah.
I saw 2 of those things out at the EAA this summer.
Did you go up there?
I was there, yeah.
Where did you have to park?
Well, I was very fortunate because I was speaking there, and I was pretty lucky. They gave me a little bit. They were super, as a matter of fact. They gave me a golf cart to run around, then go up the flight line and go places.
They allowed you to parachute in on a 24-footer, right?
As a matter of fact, we came in on a Concorde.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I had a buddy of mine that rode that Concorde halfway to Hawaii and back.
Uh-huh.
But that's another story.
That's a whole... They brought us over in a chartered Concorde, which you believe.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I see that they've retired, let's see, one of those, because there wasn't quite enough use for it anymore.
Well, I can believe that. The seating configuration is not much better, if any better, than coach.
That good.
It's 2x2. Yeah, it's quite small. The pitch is not anything like a decent first class, say in a DC-10 or a 747.
747 DC-10. That's the modern aircraft.
Well, I'm talking about the difference in terms of as a passenger.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather ride for 7 hours in a 70 in a DC-10 in the first class section than I would 3.5 hours in a Concorde.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't think that there was a whole lot of space there.
But that's great.
Another program. Hey, thank you very much for your call.
Very kindly. I hope it works out well.
I'll have a chat with a guy on Monday. I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in for more. This is Talknet. We go now to Youngstown, Ohio. Hello there.
Hi, how are you tonight?
Couldn't be better.
Good, I'll tell you, this is my first time listening to your show. I'm up here working in my shop, and I'm really enjoying it.
We got a brand new listener,
Brand new, and I'm really enjoying it.
Well, thank you, Guy. What's on your mind?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm an artist, and I do lots of portraits. Mm-hmm. And my question to you is copywriting, and also if I should use, let's say, a famous person or a well-known person, for instance, maybe a George Foreman, Lee Trevino, someone like yourself.
You got to be careful if they're still alive.
Okay.
And I'm not willing to die for your art. Go ahead.
Well, my question is this.
You die. Then it's worth something. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's right. That could be, huh? My question is, if I should happen to draw a portrait and then offer it for sale on the market, am I obligated to contact that said individual that I'm drawing?
Wait a minute. Are you talking about somebody who would be recognizable?
Right.
You mentioned Mr. Foreman, for example.
Yeah, like when he just won the heavyweight championship.
Yeah, you got to be. I believe you have to be careful about that. First of all, you do have copyright rights. You own your work.
Right.
But when you get involved with living people, then you got a problem. Even with dead people. I mean, you got to be careful with Elvis, for example. Who's been gone for, at least if you believe the reports, been gone for quite a while. You have to be careful about that. I don't know the solid answer. Well, that's why I said. That's why I selected Mr. Presley for. We hope so.
Wouldn't that be almost like a licensing? Like if I did Mickey Mouse with Disney?
Oh, you can't touch Mickey Mouse. Let me tell you.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe I should research and see if they have a licensing problem.
Oh, you see, Mickey Mouse is a different matter because Mickey Mouse, as much as we like to believe he exists, he really doesn't. He is strictly a creation of, in this case, Walt Disney, and his likeness and his name and all sorts of things are owned by the Disney organization. That's a little different than, say, Mr. Clinton, because he is a living public person. Now, I don't think you have any problem in terms of a caricature of a public person like Mr. Clinton or Mr. Dole, or I'm not trying to be party-oriented, you understand?
I understand.
Because they are political people. There's one outfit making a Bill Clinton watch with his caricature on it. I'm absolutely sure that Mr. Clinton hasn't licensed that, but it's still being vended. I don't think there's any problem with that. But it's a different matter, I believe, if you take someone who makes their money from their likeness, such as a Mr. Foreman or some person in the arts.
Right.
I know that, for example, my likeness you mentioned. Now we licensed that. In order to use my likeness in your advertising, whatever, we charge a fairly substantial fee. And if you were to use it without our permission, we come down on you like a cloud.
Right. Well, see, that's what I was wondering. Like, someone like George Foreman, or
I wouldn't want him coming down on me with those arms.
No, one punch. I'm out. But like Joe Montana, someone like that. It's like an endorsement, really.
Same thing. I don't believe you can use his likeness. And then when you get into somebody like Montana, now you got to deal with the team that owns him as well. And you have to deal with the NFL on top of all that. So
I got you there.
I wouldn't use those guys. Politicians, okay. But I think you're better off, in my judgment, to use nondescript people that you would completely own whatever you create, like the man with a mouse. Hey, guys and girls, I hope your weekend is everything that you'd like it to be. Give the other guy a break on the road. I need you, huh? It's not always easy. Give it your best shot. Try and do what's right. I'm Bruce Williams. Keep in touch. To the Big Apple, New York. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. It's a thrill to talk to you. I've listened to you for years. And finally have a problem. I need your help.
You finally got a problem. You had to go out of your way to find one, huh?
No, it found me.
What's on your mind, baby?
I'm a travel agent.
All right.
And I had a voucher for a free flight on a major U.S. airline. And I used it.
Just a fam trip sort of thing?
No, it was a voucher, to go to a trade show at another city. I drove and kept the voucher.
I see.
Which was fine. With that was no problem.
And you could use it at a future date?
Right.
All right.
So I used it. In last March or April. And I got a debit memo a couple months later from this airline saying that I ticketed it in the wrong class of service You owe us $524.
Did you take it in the wrong class?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I like your style.
It was just a mistake.
Well, don't you have a rep?
No.
You don't have an airline?
No, you know what? They got rid of all their reps. That's the problem. You can't talk to anybody. They have no sales reps anymore.
All the airlines or just this one airline?
Just this one. And another one I just got a fax on that they're closing down their sales office.
Why is that?
Save money. And besides, the reps do us favors and save us money and cost the airline money. So. And they don't have sales reps anymore. Now they have marketing reps. And our area has not been assigned one. So anyway, I tried dealing with their main office in Texas and their debit memo number, and talked to a number of people there. And you know, their attitude was kind of, well, you know, screw you. Give us the money. We don't care. So I actually, you know, paid this debit memo. Went through the area for it.
Let me be clear on this. You would have written in the same seat. You said the wrong fare base on there.
Right.
Oh, boy.
Oh, exactly. Oh, yeah. I mean, this is like absolutely. And the planes weren't full. It wasn't like.
No, that's not. I mean, but in other words, I'm trying to get that. You didn't move yourself up into the front of the plane, or anything.
No.
I understand. There's a million fare bases for the same seat.
Exactly. And. Well, you know,
how much business do you write for these people?
Actually, they're second in our office, as you know, to.
Well, in your office, I mean, how about? Maybe I phrased that improperly.
All right.
How much business can you swing toward them, or swing away from them? Personally, how much influence do you have?
Not a lot. No.
You and I'm
no, I can't threaten them. No.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so what someone told me to do was take them to small claims court, and because I want my free voucher. You know, they took the voucher, they let me on the plane, even though the ticket was ticketed incorrectly.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, when I talked to their debit memo people, well, okay, if you're going to charge me this $500 for this ticket, which I wouldn't have even gone on this trip if I didn't have a free one. All right, I want my free voucher back. And no, we don't have any free vouchers here. We can't give you a free voucher. So, you know, I feel they should either give me my money back or give me a free voucher, replace the free voucher.
Well, I think you're entitled to a free voucher as well. But I'm curious, where did you go on this little excursion?
Oh, well.
For 500. Where'd you?
Well, actually, I have friends that live in Sacramento. This airline no longer flies into Sacramento.
Yeah.
So I flew into Tahoe. It's a 4-hour round trip for them to come and pick me up.
Yeah. 4 hours from...
Well, 2 hours up and 2 hours back.
Did you ever think about renting a car?
Well, no, it gets better. Then, and I stayed with them for about a week and had a lovely time. And then I flew out of San Francisco and I rented a car in Sacramento and drove to San Francisco and dropped the car there. So it was very inconvenient to fly this.
Oh, poor baby.
I know. I had to drive through California.
Yeah, that's a terrible road on that Highway 80. Oh, come on. It's not a... Yeah, it's a real cool ride into San Francisco from Sacramento, and it's not a bad ride in from Tahoe to Sacramento either, so I stop feeling sorry for you. But I do think you're entitled to a free voucher.
So...
I mean, the ticketing routine, I don't know how to handle that, but I think the voucher will be returned to you. And I'd get to their public relations department if it were me.
Good luck.
Well, no.
What do you think about this small claims court thing? Do you think...
Well, that'll get their attention.
Oh, okay.
Clearly, that'll get somebody's attention. And that might get them off center. I don't think they're going to let it go that far. In other words, if you go to small claims court, I don't think they're going to let it go to trial.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're going to, once they get served, they're going to say, this lady's serious.
And I've gone to the library and taken out a couple books on small claims court. And
you have to have a book on small claims.
Well, I don't know anything about it, and so I just thought I'd, read up on it.
It might be kind of fun. But I think you'll find that once they get served with a summons, the likelihood is they're going to say, hey, let's get this thing settled. This is stupid.
All right. So because they do business in New York State, even though their headquarters is in Texas.
Oh, absolutely. You can serve.
I just find an office for them?
Well, either that or they can direct you. You can serve as the Secretary of State of the state of New York.
Oh, okay.
But I think they'll find they have an office that you can serve right in Manhattan.
All right.
That shouldn't be too hard to do.
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty easy to guess what airline we're talking about. Boy, oh boy. I mean, did you disguise that one well? All right, Sherlock.
Boy, I hate them. I'm really mad at them, and I just discourage them.
Why am I not surprised that you're angry with them?
I'm really hurt that we don't have a sales rep anymore. She was a wonderful person, and now I've got to deal with lunatics and people.
That's a whole other program. I do wish you well, sweetheart.
Thank you very much.
Good talking with you. I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in. This is Talknet. Well, this lady went to Sacramento. Why shouldn't I? Hello there.
Hello, Bruce. How are you?
I am well, thank you.
Good. I have a question. I have a janitorial business, and I've been doing it for a few years, and it's been doing really well.
Mm-hmm.
So I just recently leased a brand new van, to use it as a backup. I have a truck that runs good and everything, but use it as a backup in the daytime to go and meet clients and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I also was wondering if I can capitalize on the van, and if there is any ways to make money out of it aside from my janitorial business. I'm 32. I have a wife, no children, and I just want to work hard so I can age gracefully.
Well, the aging gracefully that's another trick altogether.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the generic answer is sure if you can find something else to do, whether it's deliver newspapers or pizza or who knows what.
I was thinking more, is it possible to use it as a taxi service or something? It's a brand new van.
The answer is no. The answer is no.
Why is that?
Well, I don't think you get a license.
Oh, okay.
You can't use it for a taxi unless you're licensed.
Okay. How about delivering documents and stuff like that?
The answer, yeah. If you have commercial plates on it, that's why you got through saying whether it's pizza or documents or anything else legitimate.
Okay. So I can just apply for these places and.
Well, you got to find. No, you got to figure out what kind of a service you're going to offer. You can't be all things to all people.
Right.
But if it's going to be I think documents would be a little tough because there's a ton of competition out there for that.
Well, you see, I'm very presentable, and I can get anything I want almost all the time if I go in and talk to the people. And
well, then go for it.
Yeah, I should do that, huh?
How about the companies you're cleaning for? Maybe you could do some work for them in the daytime.
That's what I was thinking, too.
Go get them, guy. You're ambitious, and I admire that.
Oh, thank you.
All
right, Bruce. You have yourself a good one.
I shall. All righty, let's go down the road from Sacramento to San Jose. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. Thanks for taking my call.
I'm glad you're here.
I work for a large insurance company, but I'm a blue-collar worker. I work as a mechanic in one of the departments, and I've worked for this company for many years, and I've been pursuing a college degree, trying to upgrade my skills.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of came to a point where I was overlooked for a promotion. And when I approached the manager about it, he started attacking me for pursuing a college degree.
Well, there are people like that. I'd be willing to bet he doesn't have one.
Well, he claimed he represented the vice president when he told me this, because the vice president doesn't have one.
Well.
And the way he put it was, I'm just about to graduate.
Right.
And
you think you're better than the rest of us.
And I'm planning to pursue a graduate degree.
Right.
And the way he put it was, my education thus far means nothing in this company. My scholarship, because I'm a straight-A student, means less than nothing. And if I pursue this idea of obtaining a master's degree, I can take that degree and find a job elsewhere because there's no use for that within our department.
Well, again, this is an uneducated person speaking.
Right.
There are people like that they just you think you're better than I am and all that sort of crap because you have an education. You say, yeah, maybe I am. I'd be looking for a job if I were you.
Yeah, it's kind of what I've been thinking.
In that environment, clearly you are not going to prosper.
Right.
I mean, that's pretty stupid from where I'm sitting. But there are people like that.
Now, I've been looking at discrimination stuff, but this seems like intellectual discrimination. I don't see any, coverage from that. But in a sense, it was discrimination because I did not get the promotion because of this.
Yeah, that's probably true to Pruitt.
Yeah. And then someone else told me that it's harassment, that they would threaten my job if I continued with my outside project of trying to obtain a degree.
Well, it's again, we're back to it's more than that. It's stupid.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's if you're they put you on notice,
right,
that you're not going to go anywhere.
Right.
Now you're how old?
37.
Oh, you're a young guy, and you're probably better prepared to do something else now. I would hope so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of what I've been looking.
There's some pretty weird people out there. But you see, the chances are these guys feel threatened. They feel threatened on a couple of fronts. One, that you are better educated than they are. And no matter how you slice it, that's got to be a bit of a herder.
Uh-huh.
And the second thing is always in the back of their mind, well, hey, here's George down here, and he's doing whatever. If the word gets out among upper management that this guy is now has a degree and maybe an advanced degree, he's likely to want to be my boss one of these days, and I can't have that.
Uh-huh.
You're a threat.
Well, the problem is it's coming from a VP, and
VPs can be as screwed up as a janitor.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are a lot of people that have done. I know there's a program director of a station I'd like to be on. I told him one time, you better get yourself some education because sooner or later it's going to catch up with you. Well, now he's a smart little ass, about 27, 28. Hey, I showed him I'm a PD of a big station. Terrific. But the jury's very much out. He's got another 30 years to go. You see what I'm getting at? You did the right thing, kid. Look for a new company. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Well, hello there. How you doing? I'm Bruce Williams, and this is Talknet. Talknet is nothing more or less than friends helping friends. I'm delighted to count you as one of those friends. Sit back, relax. Let's do it together. I'm Bruce Williams. Welcome to Talknet. The telephone number 800-743-8000. 800-743-8000 from anywhere in North America. One of these first days, depend on it, you and I are going to meet Raleigh, North Carolina. Hello there.
Mr. Williams, how are you?
I couldn't be better. How are you?
Pleasure to finally talk to you.
Well, thank you, sir.
I was wondering if I can get some career advice.
Well, that depends on what kind of a career you want to get involved in. If you want to become the next Bonnie of Bonnie and Clyde,
No way, huh?
What's happening?
Well, I was planning to relocate to up to Boston.
All right. You sound like you're a young guy. How old are you?
28.
Okay. Boston's a happening town.
Yeah, I went to school up there. It's really nice.
Where'd you go to school?
There. I went to Northeastern.
Yeah, one of my kids thought about going there.
Oh, it was a great place.
Visited it's an urban campus.
Yeah, concrete jungle.
Wow.
It's a great place, though.
I'll bet you. It looks like a good place for a single person.
Yeah, it was fun. But listen, I sell food right now to hotels, restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
And,
what kind of food?
Mostly cakes, hors d'oeuvres, stuff like that, frozen food.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay. I either want to get back into that or perhaps radio sales or some other media sales.
Well, there's a dramatic difference between the two. You're on the one hand, you're selling a tangible, on the other hand, an intangible, and there are some significant differences.
Okay.
I happen to, obviously, I'm in love with the radio business, and I also know that there's a good buck to be made in radio sales.
Okay.
If you're good.
It's a harder sell, is what you're saying?
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I think, yeah, it's a more creative sell. I think that's a fair statement.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for example, if you're selling, you mentioned what?
Cakes.
All right, and I need so much cake for my restaurant. There's not much of a sales job involved there, is there?
No, I understand.
That's more order taking than sales.
True.
And then that could be said too for certain kinds of advertising.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, it's the guy that you go out and persuade that he ought to spend some money advertising, and then the advertising works for him. That's where the money is.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think the benefit of radio sales as opposed to, or advertising on the radio as opposed to the newspaper?
Well, they are different.
Okay.
When was the last time that you lined your garbage can with a radio?
Yeah, okay.
But you do that with a newspaper. On the other hand,
yeah,
a newspaper offers more detail and lasting detail.
Okay.
Radio offers immediacy.
Mm-hmm.
You can have knee-jerk advertising.
Okay.
What does that mean? It means if your customer starts a sale at 4 o'clock, you can change your copy and be on the air with it at 5 o'clock. Can't do that in a newspaper.
Okay.
On the other side of that, let's compare radio news and newspaper news.
Okay.
Radio news is the highlights. It's all it can possibly be.
All right.
Newspaper in the newspaper itself, news is there in depth.
Okay.
However, the radio news is going to be there if there's a fire. 10 seconds after the fire is reported, it can be on the radio.
Yeah.
The best newspaper in the world can't do that. No, that doesn't make one right and the other wrong.
Yeah.
And furthermore, it doesn't mean that one should be used to the exclusivity of, or exclusively to the non-use of the other. Frequently. In fact, I can't think of an exception to this. There are less newspapers than there are radio stations.
Okay.
Well, that means there's more competition among the radio stations. You get in a big city with one newspaper, man, they're going to rape you. Well, you're laughing, but they do.
I believe you.
But when you have 10 or 12 radio stations, they can't. Or 15 or 20 or however many.
Yeah. Do you think there's a big difference between FM and AM?
Of course there is.
Okay, what would that be?
Well, the difference in certainly the FM is going to have older, younger demographics.
Okay.
There are a lot of people your age never heard of AM. Unfortunately, that's part of our job to persuade you to come over and listen to the good stuff.
Yeah, that's all I listen to now.
Well, I mean, there are a lot of young people like you.
Uh-huh.
But there are also others of your contemporaries never heard of AM. They haven't a clue, but that's partially our fault. But it's in the main our fault.
Yeah. What is the best way of going about getting a sales job in radio?
Walk in.
Walk in?
Walk in.
Yeah.
The
Do you
stations
think that's true with any sales position?
Well, not necessarily. You asked about radio, and the stations that we own, let me tell you, we're always looking for salespeople.
Uh-huh.
Always.
Just walk right in there and...
Well, talk to the sales manager.
What do they look for in a salesperson?
Somebody who can bring home a full order book.
Yeah.
I mean that sincerely.
But can you categorize that person? I mean,
well, first of all, you got to believe in your product. Secondly, you got to be persistent. You got to be the idea of, well, somebody said no, that doesn't mean anything. Go back and see him again the next day, or 2 weeks from now. You got to have a certain amount of orderliness to what you're doing, a method to your madness.
Is there a specific target market for radio?
Obviously not.
No. Anybody would advertise. Not anybody, but...
No, not anybody. You're absolutely right, not anybody. There's some things that are totally inappropriate for radio, in my opinion.
Uh-huh.
There are things that are totally inappropriate for newspapers. Others that are totally inappropriate for TV. Some shouldn't be advertised at all. You're laughing. I'm deadly serious.
I believe you.
I spend a ton of money on radio advertising.
Yeah.
I mean, thousands of dollars a week. I spend.
Do you also advertise in the newspaper and TV?
Absolutely. Not television, no.
No?
No, because we're not big enough. But we do advertise in print.
Yeah.
But that's for our businesses. I mean, other businesses will be different.
Okay.
Be very different.
So, overall, you think it's a...
Well, there's a hell of a lot more money selling radio than there is selling cakes, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
If you're good at it.
Like, what are you looking at? 80 grand or...
Oh, sorry. I mean, I can't tell you that. There are guys that make $500,000 a year.
Yeah. Selling radio, huh? For
and there are guys who are making nothing.
Yeah.
Salespeople are paid what they're worth.
It's true. Any good suggestions for radio stations in that area?
Go see RKO, WRKO, the station I'm on.
Yeah. I'll do that.
See every station you can. I wish you well, kid.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Bruce. I'm Bruce Williams, and yeah, there are a lot of young guys his age that listen to radio, and that's a fact. AM radio. Active Mind radio. There's a lot listen to FM as well. There's more and more FM talk stations around, by the way. A lot more than there used to be. And then, of course, there are those mind-boggling stations. Almost makes me wish that there was some governmental control. You ever pull up next to the car and the window glass in your car actually vibrates? The only blessing there is they'll be deaf soon. This is Talknet. I'm chatting with a gentleman in Houston, Texas. I didn't want to drop you just like a hot rock there, but he was hit in an automobile accident 6 months ago and being treated successfully. But you're going to have a little problem maybe for life. The adjuster's sort of looking at the car and saying, gee, with a little hit like this, how could this be, right?
Right.
Your attitude is, look, you go talk to the doctor. What do you want from me? All I know is I hurt.
Exactly. So I'm getting the runaround with the insurance company.
Well, you say the runaround. I'm not sure that's a runaround. His job is to give you as little as possible.
Bruce, I understand that in their eyes, this is business. This isn't painting stuff.
That's exactly what it is. It's business.
This is business on their part.
And your part, too.
Right. I've been to a couple of attorneys. One thing that bothers me in talking to the attorneys is, and honestly, I hope not to use an attorney, but one of the problems that I've had with dealing with these attorneys, nobody will give me any idea of what this claim is worth.
Well, how can they?
Well, I would hope I would be getting professional opinions.
Well, but it's only, I'll give you an opinion, but it's not worth much. Really? I don't know the extent of your injuries.
Well, the reason I'm calling you and the reason I'm concerned is I've been told that I'm going to have a problem off and on with my back the rest of my life.
Oh.
This case is worth, I don't know how much, but I feel like when it's all said and done with, the attorney's going to do fine and I'm going to end up with nothing.
Well, not necessarily nothing. How much are your doctor bills so far?
$16,000.
$16K?
Yes.
What has been done?
Well, I've had 2 MRIs. I've had a bone scan. I had to go to the doctor on a regular basis. I mean, I was a pretty active guy before this has happened. In the last 6 months, I haven't played golf. I walk around like I'm in my mid-40s. I walk around like I'm in my mid-60s. Just regular treatment.
That seems like an awful lot of money for outpatient treatment. I mean, how much can a couple of MRIs be worth?
$2,500
a piece?
No. About $1,200 a piece.
That much?
That's what my bills are.
Well, the rule of thumb is about 3 times medical, so you're talking $50,000.
Right. The problem with the insurance company, they won't even make me an offer. They don't
have to make you an offer. They don't have to give you a penny.
Right.
Well, you say right. Do you understand that?
I understand.
They have no obligation even to say hello to you.
I understand. But I have the right to sue.
No, you have the right to sue the guy who hit you.
Right.
You can't sue the insurance company.
Okay.
But they don't have to gratuitously give you a dime, which most people can't understand.
Right.
But they don't. They don't have to talk to you even. Now, clearly it's in their interest to do so. But they don't have to until you sue them. And in order to sue them for this kind of money, you're going to need an attorney. And that means he's going to take a third off the top.
Right. So I need a gunslinger, huh?
Not necessarily, but you can say to the adjuster, look, up until now I have not sought counsel. But unless I get a satisfactory offer in the next 10 days, I'm going to have to do that. Now, the ball is in your court.
I've done that, and they keep asking for more time. Hey, can you...
No. You say that the meter is running out. Next Friday at 4 o'clock, please don't call me.
Right.
I was involved in a negotiation where I figured I was right. This is relatively recently, right?
6 months ago.
No, I'm telling you, I was involved in a negotiation.
Oh, okay.
And I said to the attorney involved, please don't call me back with a 15-cent less offer, because that's the number. Now, I'm not angry with you. You're a nice person. I'm sure you go home at night and you take good care of your family, but don't give me don't come back with a counter, because it's not acceptable. I'm telling you, this is the minimum I'll accept. And listen, if we don't work it out, we'll let a jurist and a jury figure the thing out. I had no problem. I'm not mad at you, and I wasn't. But don't waste my time. I'm telling you when the meter runs out, and then you got to meet it. And after the meter runs out, don't even accept their phone calls.
Right.
Give them a deadline. Say, look, there is no more time. Now, I can't force you to do anything. Up until now, I have not chosen to use an attorney, which may be to your advantage. But that advantage goes away at Friday at 4 o'clock. And then meet it.
Okay.
Don't raise your voice. Don't get angry. Don't give me all this history about, that you were giving people. That's all extraneous. I want an offer.
What do you look for in an attorney when you're talking to them?
Somebody who can rip out your throat.
Right.
That's what I'm looking for.
Right.
I want somebody who is very good in front of a jury. Somebody who has good, solid tort experience.
Well, do you look for a trial attorney?
What are we talking about? Of course you want a trial attorney.
Okay. You don't
accident attorneys are trial attorneys.
I'm sorry?
Accident attorneys are trial attorneys.
Okay.
Absolutely. I want somebody who goes for the jugular.
Because everybody I've talked to said, yeah, of course, everybody's got an inside connection with the insurance company. I mean, that's the first speech they got. And then the way the story goes is, well, if I don't handle it and worse comes to worse, boy, I know a great trial attorney. And then I've had people say, trial attorneys just want to try cases. They don't want to settle.
That's not necessarily true. They want to make money. Good luck, my friend.
Appreciate the help.
Set the parameters and then learn, but never make a presentment that you're not prepared to back up. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Toledo, hello there.
Yes, hello, Bruce.
Hello, baby. How are you?
Well, what a pleasure to talk to you. Bruce, several years ago, I made out a non-funded trust fund for a dependent daughter who has since passed away.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering why I need the trust fund.
Well, I don't think you do.
Because I have no other children.
The purpose of the trust fund has gone away.
No longer served.
And you say it's a non-funded trust.
Yes, I didn't put any money into it.
Well, then, as a practical matter, I don't think you do. What responsibility do you have to it?
But the bank and the lawyer both insist that I should still keep the trust fund.
For what reason?
I don't know.
Well, ask them.
I have asked them, and they just said, well, since you have no other children, that you can pass this on to your other beneficiaries, and it will act just like a will. Well,
no, it doesn't act like a will.
That's what I'm thinking.
Now, that doesn't mean that a trust fund isn't a useful tool or vehicle.
Yes, it would have been had I passed.
No, but without regard to that. Mm-hmm. But a trust fund is not to replicate or duplicate a will. A will is you still have a will, I take it.
Yes.
Or do you?
Yes.
And you've chosen who the things are to go to?
Yes.
I think that's satisfactory.
I live out.
All right, hold on just a second. I'm Bruce Williams for Talknet. I'm chatting with Lydia in Toledo. I didn't want to chop her off at the pass there.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
Well, you say that you have a will.
Yes.
You have you've chosen whoever is to receive whatever you've accumulated in this life.
Now, I live out of the country, but I am a U.S. citizen.
Where do you live?
While I was up here, I wanted to get this cleared up. I had been reading that a trust fund costs more to administer.
Not necessarily. Where do you live, by the way?
Mexico.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Well, how much of an estate are you going to leave behind?
Well, about 300 or more.
Oh. And to whom will you leave it?
Oh, to various friends and relatives.
And you spell this up? I'm sorry.
Is another thing. Several of them will be residents of Mexico, and how on earth does the money ever get down there?
That's up to your executor to handle.
Oh, the executor handles that.
That's his function, her function.
Yeah,
I think that if you have a properly drawn will, I think that's sufficient, in my opinion.
Well, the same person who drew up the will is the representative of the bank.
Well, it may be. This is my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any reason to have the trust at this point.
Everything is. It costs more to administer.
What difference? What possible difference does it make at this point? Serious.
Well, I mean, if the bank's going to take a big share out of it.
Out of what?
Out of the.
Out of your will. A bank is nothing out of your will.
Mm-hmm.
You admit if you're going to have someone a paid executor, then they'll get a percentage.
Yes, they can claim a certain percent.
Yeah, and you can spell that out in your will too.
Yes, it is.
Okay. I don't see any reason for the trust. Well, I do wish you well, sweetheart.
Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Newark Valley, New York. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce. Thank you for taking my call.
You're very, very welcome.
I listen to you every night on my way home from work.
We'll keep you company, huh?
Yes. My question is, can you give me some advice? I have a repairman coming here in a couple days. I had a whole house air conditioner installed in a mobile home. And it's connected to the duct that the furnace runs through, and it's made by the same company as the furnace, especially for this purpose.
Mm-hmm.
A month before the air conditioner was installed, the furnace was reconnected at she used home, and the propane people tested all my appliances, tested the furnace. Everything ran fine. Now, I want to use the furnace, and I don't get any heat. And my contention is that when they installed the AC, which uses the furnace ducts, and some of the work was done in the furnace, I saw the man there, that they didn't maybe finish everything, or...
Well, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Well, let's call them out.
They're going to come, but he's saying if it turns out that it's really a fault with a furnace, they'll be charging me service call and all this.
Mm-hmm. So that's not unreasonable.
But if it's because they didn't connect it properly and they've caused it not to work,
then they won't charge you. The only problem with that is, are they honest?
That's it. And
well, there's
no.
Unless you know something about furnaces, I'm not sure you can know.
No, I read my booklet and it says don't touch it. Call the repairman.
And don't touch the repairman either.
What do I say?
Well, again, I don't know that there's much to say. He knows why he's there.
Mm-hmm. But I think he comes with instructions to make sure that it has to be a service call.
Well,
tell me, you know.
Well, you see, that's where I said the only thing we have here is the integrity or the honesty of the repair service.
Right. It's a long-established company here. That's why I chose them.
Mm-hmm. It may very well be they are as honest and pure as a driven snow.
Yeah.
But we don't know that. And
I asked the service manager if he would let me talk to the man who did the installation.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's no longer installing. He's now in sales, and he would not let me talk to him. It'll be...
What would that accomplish in truth?
Just that it might recall in his memory maybe there was something he...
I think you're floundering around here. Okay. If you want to stand there and watch the guy so it looks like you know what you're doing, that's up to you.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, you're going to have to depend upon the integrity of the individuals.
Okay.
That's often the case for us, isn't it?
Right.
I wish you well, sweetheart.
Thank you very much.
You're very, very welcome. Thank you for joining me. I'm Bruce Williams. I am. This is Talknet. Lafayette. Hello there.
Long-time addict. First-time caller.
Well, thank you for calling.
We listen to you every evening. Enjoy the show thoroughly.
Thank you.
I think I have a problem that's probably similar to a bunch of folks, and looking for some advice hopefully you can help me with.
Let's try.
In '86, I built my own home. I subcontracted it myself, and at the time could not do a lot of the niceties like the fence, the barbecue house that I wanted to do ran over budget, of course. And,
boy, there's a surprise.
And my accountant recommended, excuse me, in '87 that I perhaps buy a rent house, which I did, fixer-upper. And I had an understanding with my very understanding banker that from time to time he would lend me money for projects that were quote-unquote earmarked towards my rent house. And to make a long story short, now I have my fence and my barbecue house and everything else, if you get my drift.
Mm-hmm.
The rent house has a note of approximately $40,000. It brings in enough just about to cover the note, and I put in a dishwasher, disposal, all sorts of nice things you wouldn't normally put in a rent house, but that was out of paranoia to keep it rented, and that's worked. Everything's run fine.
I'm not sure I'd call it paranoia. I might call it good business sense.
Well, except, there were minor problems. Every year I'd have a water pipe break.
But that's part of being a landlord.
Right, and I was able to handle those things.
Sure.
Now the house is 7 years old. It's never gone vacant for more than a week. It's always been a word-of-mouth type thing. But the dishwasher, the disposal, all the little nice things that I put into the rent house while I'm doing these things in my own home are starting to break. And lo and behold, I've hit a tenant who said, I want all these things fixed. Those two stumps in the backyard from when Hurricane Andrew knocked the trees down, I would like those ground to the ground. Excuse me. And it's starting to be a rather expensive property.
Well, you see what you haven't been doing is setting up a contingency fund. In other words, every month a certain amount of money ought to be going into a separate account to cover these things that you know are going to happen sooner or later.
Except I'm a kind of hand-to-mouth type operator.
I can appreciate that, but I didn't say what most of us are going to do. But that's, for example, if you own motor vehicles for business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every month there ought to be money being put into a fund to buy the next one, because you know they're going to wear out. Now, do we all do that? No. But that's the way it should be done.
I certainly don't. I'm 40 and I'm single, and there are certain tax advantages to owning the rent house besides the other things that I was able to do via the rent house on my main home.
Well, I understand it, but the piper now is kind of squawking.
Yeah, well, let me ask you this. Like I said, even if I sold it, it would be a break-even proposition. There are certain tax advantages, particularly being single.
Well.
But if I have to all of a sudden start coming up with $800 or $1,200 for this, that, or the other, a generic question about rental houses in your experience. Can I just tell the lady or the next tenant maybe that look, I'm going to come in and fix everything. I'll send the major appliance guy out, and he'll fix the appliances that are broken. But from here on out, that's your baby.
You can, but any tenant that goes for that's crazy.
They are.
Look, this is part of your expense, man. It goes with what you're doing. And the problem is you have single-family home, right?
Correct.
They seldom make any sense to own to rent. Multiple family homes sometimes make some money. Single-family homes seldom make any sense. Not always, but seldom.
Well, it served its purpose from the standpoint...
Well, I understand that, but you were stealing.
Well,
I don't really quarrel. I'm not going to moralize, but now it's time to start the payback.
Okay.
And you're going to have to do it.
Well, that makes sense. It just was a nice little...
We understand all that, but everything has its price.
Mm-hmm.
Well, time to pay.
But I'm assuming I'm not the only guy in America that does it.
But sooner or later, you got to make the payments.
It's a matter of paying the band after the dance as opposed to...
Exactly so.
Okay.
Exactly so. No big thing. Just time to pay the piper.
But you would suggest that I keep the rent house?
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I think single-family homes are lousy investments.
Yeah, even though it's paying its own note.
That's not why I buy property to pay its own note. I buy it to make a profit. I've not frequently lately been able to manage that, but that's another story.
Well, besides all the advantages,
Okay, look, look, I'm not going to fight with you.
Well, I know, but I'm hoping when I'm 60, and so I'll have a nice little paid-off house.
Well, we see that's. I don't have time to give you a lesson in real estate investing. That's not the way it's done.
Okay.
You should be constantly refinancing and expanding your base.
I got you.
Do you understand why? If you're making, let's assume that you have, for the sake of discussion, $100,000.
Right.
You could pay cash for a $100,000 home, couldn't you? Or $100,000 investment property, couldn't you?
Correct.
Or you could put 10% down on $1 million.
Okay.
Now, if you're leveraging the $1 million, aren't you better off building equity in $1 million than the 100,000?
Sure, because I'm using 900 of somebody else's money.
Exactly. So, I wish you well, kid.
Thank you so much.
Winston, Salem, North Carolina. Hello.
Hello, Bruce.
Hello there.
How are you, sir?
I couldn't be better.
Well, I tell you, it's an honor to be able to talk to you.
Well, thank you.
Let me give you our situation. My wife and I leased a piece of property. It's on about 100 acres of land, a little over 100 acres of land.
And how much?
A little over 100 acres.
All right.
And we live on a house that's in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
And there are no other houses on the property. Gorgeous place to live.
Mm-hmm.
And we were ecstatic to get it, pretty happy with it. We jumped right on it. And at this point, we have leased the house for just a couple of months. When we signed a year lease, they told us that they were eventually going to build on the property, but it would be a minimum of 6 months and probably closer to a year before they started construction. So now we've been here for about 60 days, and the construction...
And the bulldozers are coming.
Yeah, matter of fact, they're here, and they've got pans going by the house. They're putting the road about 40 feet from our front door.
There's not a thing in the world you can do about that.
Nothing at all.
No, sir. Not unless you have a lease that allows you to escape if the building begins.
Right. Well, I mean, we talked to the leasing agent, and the leasing agent told us, oh, yeah, there's no way we would have leased it to you. If we had known that, let me get with our owner and we'll get that taken care of. And we wanted to either lessen the rent or let us get out of the lease. And the owner doesn't want to do that.
Well, I don't see it happening.
We're just stuck, huh?
Which seems, well, not stuck. I mean, you still have a decent place to live.
Right.
But as far as letting you out of the lease, unless there's, see, again, in real estate matters, it's what's written, not what was said. And they really didn't say very much. They said, well, we're going to build sometime this year. I think that's where you put it.
Right.
Well, this is sometime this year.
Well, okay. Okay, one more thing for you, if you can.
Very quick. I'll tell you what, let me take a little time out and we'll go back together.
Okay.
I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in. This is Talknet. I'm chatting with a gentleman in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. He has something else on his mind. We didn't do too good with the first one. What's up?
All right. My wife and I have a little bit of debt that's credit card debt. For the most part, now we're around $5,000 worth of debt.
All right.
We've come down from closer to 17 or 18,000 worth of debt.
Well, I'd say you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, but the question is, at this point, would you suggest that we finish taking care of that debt? We don't have any savings. We're 27 and 29 years old.
Get rid of the debt.
Let's get rid of the debt.
Get rid of the debt.
You want to tell my wife that?
Well, where is she?
Okay.
Absolutely, get rid of the debt.
Okay.
Because you could look, if push came to absolute shove,
right,
you've maintained your credit worthiness. Is that true?
Correct.
And you can always go back to the well and borrow the money from the credit cards if that's the only thing available to you.
Okay. Okay. So you would recommend zero savings until we just get that completely gone?
Well, because you have access to money.
Right.
But why pay 18% and have money stashed away at 4%?
Okay.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, it didn't make any sense to me either, but my wife and I have talked about it on and off, and you've hopefully resolved one of our long-time arguments.
Well, there's just one more vote, that's all. Sacramento, California. Hello there. Welcome to my world.
Hey, Bruce. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Man, I've been listening to you for a long time now.
Well, I've been doing this for a long time. Well, what's on your mind?
Well, I'm kind of in a situation where I, about 4 months ago, started my own business. Currently still working in retail. full time.
And what is the business that you began?
Well, I started a scholarship and grant kind of consulting business where.
You saw one of those ads, you mean?
No, didn't see an ad. I actually.
You didn't buy into a database or something?
No. Oh, well, kind of. A friend of mine was in the business, and he was doing pretty good with it, doing it part time.
But nonetheless, you subscribe to some database that you could, for $4 you get in, and then you sell it for 50 or 60.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, nothing new about that.
Right. What do you think?
Well, it depends upon the database.
Okay. Well, the company's very good. They've been in business a very long time.
That doesn't tell us anything. All I know is if you fill out if the appropriate high school kid fills it out, do they come up with legitimate scholarships they can pursue?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
And how many of your clients have actually got a scholarship?
I've only done about 3 or 4 that have actually gone through the whole process where not only did they get the profile back, but they also followed through with letters and.
Well, you don't have enough of an experience to make an intelligent decision.
But the person that actually got me involved in the business who told me about it, he had pretty good luck too himself. He had got like 10 or 15 people, but not in the numbers that you might want to have to make a real educated decision about it either. So I understand that. That's kind of my concern, is that how legitimate is the business?
It all depends upon the value and is it a decent database? I don't know how many ways to say that to you.
Well, how would I find that out?
I can think of a couple of ways. Why don't you find some high school kid?
Okay.
Let him run his profile through, and let him follow up on the scholarships and see what comes up.
Okay.
Now, that one kid is not going to prove a whole lot, but it'll give you some idea. Take 2 or 3 kids.
Okay.
Cost you $12.
Okay. Well, let's assume then that the scholarships that are coming up are legitimate, and there's a legitimate company. That wasn't so much my question to you as much as my situation with the fact that I am working a full-time job and I'm kind of starting this on the side here, trying to get it going, and I'm running into some problems. And
what kind of problems?
Financial problems. I mean, I'm realizing that owning your own business is not as cheap as it might seem or appear when it's on just getting into it. I kind of was under the understanding that I would have places to advertise or get my word out. And there really isn't a place that a student would find my business. There's not a place in the Yellow Pages or a real...
But that's what you see, I wish we had more time together.
Yeah.
Advertising doesn't cost if it produces business.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing is for nothing. You got to have the money to front it.
That's true.
And you also got to have enough money to experiment a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Because a particular advertisement in one vehicle may drop dead and the next one may do very well. For example, if I were looking for high school students, I'd certainly try to get the high school newspapers on the campus or in the school. I'd also like to get together with the guidance counselors. That doesn't cost anything to go in and talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
Put stuff on the bulletin boards and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you get to speak at the next PTA meeting.
Mm-hmm.
None of those things cost a whole lot of money. But you've got to get out and get a little creative, my friend.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
Well, that's what I've been doing. I've been doing the flyers and talking to
people. Well, flyers are largely a waste of time. The other things I think would work for you. Thank you, Danny, for doing a usual great job. And my friends, thank you so much for joining us. I know it's not easy, but give it your best shot. Try and do what's right. I'm Bruce Williams. Keep in touch. Claims court say, look, Your Honor, they clearly admitted to me that this was so delicate and so special that they send you to a specific cleaner with experience in this area. They never told me that. I went to a half a dozen cleaners and they all wanted a waiver. I think the responsibility is the seller.
Okay.
They in turn go back to the manufacturer. Hey, because it just seems to me, I'm sure it's a gorgeous piece of goods.
Mm-hmm.
But let's face it, this is a real world. You go to cocktail parties, you go to work, whatever things do get spilled and whatever, they got to be cleaned. And to have something that's so delicate and so fragile and so special that you got to send it to one particular place, I think that's crazy. I guess they say fashion hurts, but how much should it hurt you?
So even though it was ruined regardless of the beads.
I I told you what I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry about that, but you must have other frocks in the closet, yes?
Not like that one. That one really gave me cleavage, so that's why I liked it so.
Oh, my goodness gracious sakes alive, you're all this titillating conversation. I do wish you well, sweetheart.
Thanks a lot.
Good talking to you. Oh, my God. We go to Des Moines, Iowa. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. It's great to talk to you tonight. I'll tell you, I was in my kitchen baking some rye bread trying to work through a problem and decided to give you a try instead.
I'm better than the rye bread. Huh? Let's find out.
Well, I'm trying to make a career decision. I'll try to go through my background quickly for you. I have 5 years of experience in communications. I graduated from a private college in '89 with a communications degree.
Take a deep breath. What does that mean, communications?
Well, I work within mass communications. I've worked with agencies and public relations. And I've also been a special events coordinator for a private college.
Okay.
And the private college experience working with special events was a really good experience. I really enjoy that type of work. And moved to Des Moines to allow my husband to go to further his education, and also because I wanted to make a career move to a larger metro area. And I took a position working in marketing and public relations. Checked it out. I thought thoroughly, found it to be very, very different than it was presented, and
good or bad?
In a very bad way.
Okay.
The hours were 9 to 9, and they did that by having some small portion of commission, and it was Monday through Saturday. So after some real soul searching and some exhaustion, I decided that I would resign from that and do temporary work. And look for a position that used my skills because they were virtually going to waste. I was basically doing telemarketing. And since that time, I've done temporary work, have had some interviews. The competition here in communications is very fierce. And right now I have a job offer. However, I feel the salary is really low. It's about a $4,000 pay cut over where I've been before.
How much were you earning before?
22. And so this is, just about what I started out of college.
Well, but the thing is, you're not working right now.
That's right. However, I'm doing temporary work and part-time work. You've always said to do whatever you have to do.
Sure.
Excuse me?
That's right. I applaud that. But how much are you earning on the temporary jobs? If you annualized it.
If I annualized it, by doing the temporary and the part-time work, I come out about the same as I would on this if I accepted this job.
Where could this job lead you?
That's another problem. I went and I wanted to see exactly what I would be doing since I got burnt once before. I'm a little more wise, I guess, this time, and saw what I would be doing. And there are only 2 positions in the company other than this one. It's a small agency, and I was originally interviewing for a position above this, and they moved the internal candidate up into it instead, even though they said I was their number 1 candidate. They felt they needed to move up an internal person instead.
Well, maybe that says, I think, some good things about them.
Yes, it does. I agree.
That they'll hire within.
I've since spent some time calling around and trying to find out more about the market, just doing some research. Certainly that's not the average salary in the field. However, communications areas usually aren't real high paying.
Well, what do you have to lose?
Well, I can barely get by, and I'll work part-time and full-time.
But you're going to make the same amount of money, I believe. You won't have any less money coming in, will you?
Then right now?
Yeah.
No, I'll have a commitment to it, and if something else should come along, then I feel like I can't quit it to do that, at least.
Why not?
Well, how long do you feel you should give to something?
Well, I don't know the answer. I mean, if you feel that if somebody else gives you a much better offer 2 months from now, you can't take it, that's very foolish. Of course you can take it.
Okay. All right, I guess I was feeling like I really needed to give them a commitment of a year or...
Well, I wouldn't be out looking, but I most certainly wouldn't close my ears either. But the temporary works fine as a stopgap expedient. But it certainly isn't an end to itself.
No.
And if it were me, I would consider it a full-time job. You could still work part-time, I would assume, on weekends if you chose to.
Yes, I can. That is still an option. Another thing that I was considering doing at the same time, I've always wanted to get a small business going in special events, working with people. You know, people hate to do birthday parties anymore. They take their kid to a fast food place and have the party there. And then there's, you know, incidents like bridal showers and family reunions. I was considering trying to start something up in that, doing some market research and seeing if there was a place for that kind of service.
Do they offer it in your town now?
No.
Well, in that case, I mean, I kind of get a kick out of it. You're relatively young, probably in your late 20s?
Yes.
Everything is, you do some market research. Tell me, what the heck is market research got to do about anything?
Well, I was just going to give some surveys out to some people that have small children to see if this is a service that they might, you know, they would subscribe to or, you know, take advantage of.
I think, well, I suppose there's some merit in that. I think we spend a great deal of time spinning our wheels in efforts of that kind. If there's nobody doing it in your area, one of two things applies. There's a market for it, nobody's filled the need, or it's been tried and tried again, it's failed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know which. But to spend a lot of time for a little nickel and dime venture on, quote, market research, I think that's a major league waste of time effort. Sounds great, but that's about what it sounds great.
Yeah, some professor must have burnt that in my head.
There you go. There's some professor who couldn't make it out in the outside world. That's why he's a professor. I wish you well, dear.
Well, thanks for your time, Bruce.
Good chatting with you. Let's go to Wood Country, Grand Rapids. Hello there.
Hello?
Hi, Grand Rapids. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Well. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Bruce, I have a question also regarding a job situation tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Let me give you a little bit of the background information. I work for a major company that has about 5,000 employees, and we're currently in the process of laying off approximately 20% of the employees. I am a professional. I hold a professional position. I hold it as a job share with another woman. We are both have young children. And when I had my baby last year, we got together and proposed a job share situation, which was approved by the company, and we were placed in a position together, sharing a full-time position. Our position was laid off a few weeks ago as a result of this downsizing or restructuring that my company is having. Our question is this. We are in a job that is identical to any other job in our department. We are the only women in our department, and we are, of course, the only job share in our department. We have more experience, we have more time with the company, and we have greater education, and we're almost 100% sure that we have better performance ratings than the single man that was kept in our department. We've been asked to sign some papers indicating that we will not sue the company in order to get our severance package. We're wondering, it's not a great severance package, it's going to work out to a couple $1,000s each. We're wondering if you think it's worth just signing the papers and walking with the severance, or if it's worth pursuing legally.
Well, do you feel that you've been discriminated against?
Yes, I do.
On what basis?
Sexual discrimination. We've performed better, we have more experience, more education, and more time with the company. I believe that we were let go because we're two young mothers filling one position, and the position can be filled by one man.
Can be filled by a woman, too.
Oh, exactly. Neither one of us was offered the full-time position.
Mm-hmm.
We were discharged as a unit.
Well, because
the other point too is it's a cost-saving layoff, and because of the job share, we're cheaper than the person they kept as well.
Why is that?
Because we do not get health care benefits, we don't get sick time, nor do we get the tuition reimbursement that this young man is getting. So we're just wondering if this is something that you think is worth pursuing, or if we should just sign
You got two things. One, the situation, and the second is proving it.
Exactly.
Let's assume you're correct.
Mm-hmm.
The proving that they did this on a basis of sex, well, how would you approach that?
Well, basically, what we'd like to do is find out what the criteria was for the layoff, because, from the things that we know, and maybe there's something we're overlooking, but from what we know, we're the better buy, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
We have been unable to have that question answered. They've pretty much refused to answer that question.
You see, the burden of proof is clearly on you.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how you're going to prove this. You made a lot of good points. that you've got more experience. Now, is there a possibility they could say, well, the phasing the two people into our system is a lot more difficult than having one person fill it?
I suppose they could say that, yeah.
They could say anything. Could they make a strong case?
I don't think so.
Have you talked to anybody at the EOC?
Not yet.
I mean, I'm trying to think, what would you ask? How much do you guys earn? Let's start with that.
Just under 35 together. No, we split that salary.
What do you suppose you would ask for?
Well, one, your job back, or two, some financial reward.
See, the problem with a job back, even if they gave it to you, you wouldn't want to go back.
True. And I don't think that they would do that. I think that they would...
Somebody gunning for you can believe that.
Pardon?
There would be someone gunning for you, which would be difficult. I would be inclined to sit down and talk to somebody with the EOC, but I'd do it right away. And get their feeling of the matter. Everything you say rings well, but proving it is an altogether different matter. That's where the problem may be. And you bear in mind, you bring this kind of a suit against the company, you are going to be marked for a long time. Just something to consider. I do wish you well, my dear. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. We go now to Pittsfield, Massachusetts. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Hey, what's up?
How are you, sir?
Okay.
I have a question for you. I'm in the process now of going through a divorce. I own a piece of property worth about $2.3 million. Commercial property. It's a little plaza. I owe the bank. I'm partners with the bank for about 1.5 right now.
All right. 800 grand equity.
All right. Now, the divorce is saying that I split the assets with her.
All right.
I'm trying to be forced to sell the property. I'd rather not sell it. I don't have enough cold cash to buy her half out.
Is she willing to take a note?
No. She wants either cold cash or sell it and split the profit, the equity. My question is, while the thing is going on, any repairs that had to happen, I thought that we should be equally responsible for. For an example, a roof needs to be repaired. It should come out of both people's piece of property, price. And then on top of that, I'm being squeezed for other little things, but that's immaterial. I'm saying, do I have to sell? Can I force her to take a note? Or
no, you can't force her, nor can she force you. If the judge orders that these assets be disposed of, if you don't, you're in contempt.
And then I say I have to walk away from this, square up with the bank, and split the $800,000, be roughly $400,000 apiece.
Right.
I really don't want to get off that lump sum, but I guess I'm right up against the wall.
The bank won't loan you the money, the extra $4?
I could, but I'm not so sure I want to make it that easy on the other end.
On her, you mean?
Right.
Oh, come on, that's stupid.
Really? So it's probably better off just let her have her share and go on.
I didn't say that. Yeah, the point is, you're cutting your own nose off to spite your face. You want the building, but you don't want. But you say no, I won't refinance it.
I'm just questioning. Should I? That's probably the easiest way out. That's the only alternative I really have to save the property for myself.
Well, that's right. If you want to save it.
All right.
But you made a comment. You don't want to make it easy on her.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's
forget about that. Make it easy on her.
Make it easy. That's just a bitterness speaking, but I guess it's make it easy on her and make it easy on myself also.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a business decision you're making.
Okay. And then all the other little things just have to be worked out. The other little kinks as far as support and everything else.
Exactly. So I would not let my emotions kill what apparently you believe to be a very good deal.
Right. I do.
And I wouldn't let my emotions kill it if I were you.
Okay. That's what I needed to hear. So. Just the part I had to work through in my head, the emotion part was, don't cut off your nose to spite you.
Exactly so.
All right, sir.
Good cliche that means something. Take good care, guys.
All right, thank you.
Harlan, Iowa. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi.
How are you this evening?
Okay.
I got a good one for you tonight. I'm going to see if I can, if you can help me out a little bit.
Let's talk.
We're a family hog farm. Now you're wondering, I'll bet.
Why am I wondering? Nothing unusual about that in Iowa.
Well, right at the present time, the the price of pork is so low that we're below production cost by a long ways. And we've had some friends from time to time that buy a hog from us, and we'll take it to a locker, which is they process the pork and they charge a fee for it.
I understand.
Okay. We've had several people. We put a thing on the answering machine about the low price of pork, that we have plenty, come and talk to us. And we've had several people inquire. What we're thinking about doing is charging so much for the processed, the meat.
Oh, the butcher business.
No, we're not going to do the butchery.
No,
we're
but
selling
you're going...
a hog to somebody.
Yeah.
We're delivering the hog, and then delivering the processed pork back to the people. In other words, we're going to pay the bill at the locker, and we're just going to, because every hog is a different price. It may cost $70 for one hog and $65 for another. We were thinking about just charging a flat out $100 a half, because not everybody can use a whole hog, or in that range.
Where are we going with all this? And what?
The question is this: where are we sticking our neck out? Are we liable for sales tax or anything like that on this type of a deal?
Would depend. Is pork or meats, are they sales tax now? I don't think so. When you go to the grocery store, you get a steak.
You're asking a farmer. I'm not sure about that.
Goodness gracious.
I know that there's sales tax on the processing at the locker.
That's a use tax.
Okay. I'm not sure about that. The thing has exploded so fast for us. We kind of dug our feet back in the dirt, and we're trying to find out just exactly what we're getting into here. I think this thing could blossom for the holidays to quite a deal.
Well, that would be nice.
I could use it.
Well, I don't think you have. I'm reasonably certain that food is not taxed.
Okay.
Sales tax.
And then all we would be liable for is the income that we would receive over and above the hog on
how much your profit?
charge.
That's right. On the profit side. That's right.
Yeah. So we could just handle that just like we are as a farm business.
I would think so.
We're not going to make any guarantees. We're selling a hog. The processing will come back. The packages will come back in their name. So there's no, we have nothing to do with that end of it. It's just we're providing the service to get it there for the people and bring it back.
Well, I'm not sure what you just said.
Okay.
I don't think you can operate the way you're talking about.
Okay.
You're saying you're selling them a hog, but if they in the slaughtering process it's cut improperly, or you're not responsible.
Well, they're paying the processing.
Doesn't matter. What you're saying is you're out of the loop if anything goes wrong.
Well, I'd like to think it that way. I'm not sure it's going to end up that way.
Well, how could it possibly end up that way?
Okay, the packaging will be processed in their name. In other words, John does...
No, look. Just cut it short.
Okay.
The guy come to you, I want to buy a pig. I get it slaughtered, but I get it slaughtered through you, and you deliver it, right?
That's right.
You're responsible for everything.
Okay.
Period. I never even saw the guy in the slaughterhouse.
Okay.
Had nothing to do with him.
Okay.
You can't duck around that. Yeah, you're responsible right to the end.
Okay, so then liability and so forth could get into quite a little on that.
I don't know. Well, how much liability is there going to be?
I guess I can take the meat back.
Yeah, how much liability? Only if somebody gets sick?
Yeah. Well, that could be major.
You're selling the hogs now. It could be they come back against you.
Well,
you're thinking. Well, it's academic. What I'm saying to you is that doing what you're doing, you're in the loop the whole way. If I was a customer and something screwed up, you're the guy I'm going to after.
Okay.
Because you got me into it.
Okay.
I wish you well, guy. I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in. This is Talknet. All righty, we go to Fairlands, Oklahoma. Hello there.
Yes, sir.
Hi.
Bruce, I have a problem that everybody wishes they could have. Several years ago, I bought a shotgun. And last September, I took it in, not this last one, but the one year ago. I took it in and get it fixed. Every time I'd shoot it, it'd fall apart.
How old a gun is this?
They went out of business in 1939.
Okay.
And come to find out, that gun is a collector's item. It's worth big, big bucks.
What's big bucks?
Well, I've got a written appraisal at $8,500.
Very nice.
Well, no, it isn't nice because I'm not a gun collector.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it in the house. And I'm going to have two sons that are going to be awful mad if one of them doesn't get it. And I want to get rid of the darn thing. Have you got any suggestions?
Yeah, don't give it to either one of them.
All right, then what am I going to do with it?
Sell it.
That's what I'm trying to do, but I don't know any gun collectors.
Well, you don't have to know any gun collectors. There are a million dealers around.
Well, they don't want to pay what it's worth.
They want to pay wholesale.
Well,
you want to get
route. Well, I don't need the money.
You want to. You see, if you want to put an ad in, let me see. You're calling from
Fairland, Oklahoma.
How big a town is that?
We got a rip-roaring population of about 700.
Oh boy. What's the big? How about Tulsa? How far are you from there?
Well, Tulsa's one of our suburbs. It's about 90 miles from here.
Well, the point is, why not put an ad in the local paper in Tulsa, the major league paper?
I can handle that.
Well, you try that. There are also collectors' meets around the country. You might want to attend one.
Well, I can do that too. Well, is there anything else? Any other suggestion?
Well, I mean, if both of the kids want it, you don't want to bend them out of shape. You'd say nobody gets it, or you can say to the guys, look, fellas, I can't give it to you both. There's a short straw and a long straw. The gal pulls a long straw, gets it.
Well, that doesn't work too well, really.
Why not?
Well, one of them will say, well, yeah, that's okay, and then he'll smile and grin, but he'll always have a sour taste in his mouth.
Well, then you're better off to get rid of it completely.
That's what I want to hear. I want to get rid of it.
Okay, guy.
All right, thanks a bunch.
It's been a pleasure. Albia, Iowa, hello there.
Hi.
Hi, baby.
I have a question about incorporating. My husband owns a small business, and he's a contractor. Basically, what he's doing right now is remodeling. And I'd like to know the advantages of incorporation over not.
Well, the major reason people incorporate is for limited liability.
Okay.
But your husband's a one-man band right now.
No, he has 4 employees.
Oh, he does. Okay. Well, in the incorporating might have a lot to recommend it. If he did everything himself, even though the corporation would be sued, he also, as an individual, would be sued. There are some tax advantages to incorporating as well. Okay. But you understand you got to do the same things for your employees you do for yourself.
Do the same thing for the employees as he does for himself.
Yeah, in other words, you put a retirement plan that you can't put it in for him and not for the employee.
Right. Well, like right now we're looking at insurance. And basically the reason was for himself, of course, but also for the employees. But he went to the accountant and to the lawyer before we started business up here.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, the accountant said that he didn't see any reason to incorporate. And our lawyer said to follow the advice of our accountant. And I was just wondering, what were the main benefits of it?
Well, there are tax advantages when you start to make some money.
Okay.
There are ways to shelter money for pensions, which I think has something to recommend it. There is the limited liability, which has something to recommend it. Every business that I have a piece of, and they are substantial, and a good number, is incorporated. And even within the corporations, there are corporations.
Right.
I just a personal prejudice called paranoia. I want to be as far removed from anything as I possibly can be in this crazy world we are in.
Okay. Okay.
The more employees he gets, the more reason to incorporate. It doesn't cost anything to incorporate. What, $300 or $400, $500?
Well, Our lawyer told us it would cost $1,000 to incorporate.
Well, your lawyer's high-priced lawyer, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
It's way more than I would spend.
I'm in a small town. This particular lawyer is very good advertisement.
What does that mean?
Well, my husband has done work for this lawyer, and she will she has fed 2 other people and recommended his work. So,
well, there's some merit to that, but she's overcharging for $1,000 to form a corp.
Okay. Well, now that did include she sets up the corporation and she holds the yearly meeting also.
That's she should be the registered agent. It's called.
Okay.
But you'll have to pay that an extra fee for that every year.
Okay.
Hello, where'd you go?
I'm right here. Hello?
Yeah, what happened then? Did you talk to somebody else just then?
Yes.
Why?
A child ran in the room.
Oh, kick him out.
I did.
All right. There will be an annual fee for the attorney as long as the corp exists. But if you don't feel comfortable, don't do it.
Well, I guess unsure whether we should, he should incorporate or not.
Let me ask you this: what do you have to lose?
Not much.
Not much. I do wish you well, dear.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Danny, where are we going? Let's go to Wichita, Kansas. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce.
Hi.
Hi. I really wanted to call in reference to both of your last 2 calls.
Yeah.
I caught your show last night, and I thought the sentiments that when you talked about your dad, I thought that was kind of touching.
Well, thank you.
And the one thing that I think maybe that you left out with that guy is, has he talked to his sons about it? Because if I was in that situation, as much as I would have wanted that gun, I would rather my brother had it so that it's still in the family and knowing that Dad's gun was still around. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but that only passed the problem on to somebody else.
Well,
if he had somebody he said he had the one kid, if he doesn't get it, he's going to be unhappy about it forever.
Oh, I see. Well, I just thought he had 2 kids that both wanted it, and if I was one, I just wanted him to maybe talk to those kids, because I know if I had a brother and Dad had a gun, especially one that was that old, that meant something to Dad that he had bought that long ago. Man, I'd much rather my brother have it so that I could say, there's Dad's gun.
Yeah,
than to see it go away for any amount of money.
Mm-hmm. Well, I suggested they drew for it.
Oh, okay.
And he said, well, the one kid wouldn't accept that. He'd always be a hard loser.
Well, to me, that kid's got something to learn.
Oh, I would
think.
think.
How old he is, and I'm probably a lot younger than him.
I have no doubt that he has a great deal to learn.
Okay. Follow up on your last question. How do you feel about incorporating yourself? Do you feel like you must go through an attorney for that, or how do you feel about filling out the papers yourself?
Well, it can be done clearly by yourself. My attorney does all that for me.
Okay.
I don't practice law, and he doesn't do a talk show.
Okay.
And it works out pretty good.
Okay.
I do wish you well.
Thanks a lot.
I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in. This is Talknet. We go now to Bend, Oregon. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
Long-time listener. First time I've had a chance to call.
Yes, sir.
Maybe I can help out the fellow that's got the expensive shotgun to sell it.
Yeah.
There's 2 publications that I take that have classified ads for that sort of thing. One of them's called the Shotgun News.
You got to be kidding.
No, they've been in publication for a long time. They're in Hastings, Nebraska.
The Shotgun News.
Yeah, it comes out twice a month or every 10 days. And they've got, it's mostly classified ads. And then there's another one called the Gun List, which is all private ads. And besides, he could, take the publication and see what these guns are selling for. And also there's ads in there for value books that list the values of all these guns.
How accurate are those books?
Well, they're kind of dated. If you buy one now, it might have been put out a year ago, and of course the values vary from time to time.
I mean, I've looked at these. I think there would be a similar genre, the coin books.
Yes.
And frequently the numbers in there have little bearing on reality.
What it is dealers use them. If you go into a dealer to sell a gun, why, they'll pull out the book and show you what the average price is and what they're going to pay you. So it's not really a good indication. But to see what they're selling for, these classified ads are pretty good. Mm-hmm. That gives you a better ballpark figure of what you could get for it.
Now, why do you buy the Shotgun News?
Yes.
Why?
I'm a gun nut. I collect guns. I like to shoot. I like to hunt.
I'm just wondering why, I can understand a lot of things I'm interested in. I wouldn't buy, a magazine about it.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of in a newspaper format, a loose-leaf newspaper. It's got a lot of ads in there for gun parts that are hard to get otherwise. If you do any gunsmithing,
I was just wondering, what more can be said about a shotgun? Here it is. Here's the name. Here's what they did with it, and what else to be said?
Yeah. Well, some of the older ones that aren't made anymore have value. They're, like.
Oh, I'm not quarreling with that, but I mean, what else can be said about it? Maybe I read about old cars, and I guess I'm into old cars, so I suppose
it's kind of like that in a way.
A lot of minutia that
depends on the year of the car, and same with.
No, what I meant was in terms of interest. I could see reading about old cars. I could not see myself reading about an old gun for whatever reason.
I guess. Different
strokes for different folks. Hey, thanks very much, Guy. I really appreciate it. Scott Slowmaker is on our board tonight, along with Dallas Riggin in Master Control. Our operations guy is Paul Hill. The producer of this thing is the redoubtable Dan Rudd. And I thank you guys for suffering through with us. We enjoy bringing it to you. I hope you get as much out of it as we do. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Well, hello there. Hey, I am really pleased you're here. I'm Bruce Williams. Welcome, my friends. Welcome to my world. Welcome to Talknet, where we talk about you, your life, your hopes, your ambitions, your dreams, all the things that make you so very special. Well, if you have something on your mind and I can be of help, give me a call. I'm Bruce for Talknet. Our telephone number, let me see. Oh, there it is right there. 800-743-8000. 800-743-8000. One of these first days, hopefully it's you. Largo, Maryland. I didn't know there was a Largo, Maryland. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm a first-time caller.
What's on your mind?
Okay, I'd like to talk to you about what I can do to get my real estate business off the ground.
What kind of a real estate business?
It's residential. I started back in December.
I mean, when we say real estate business, I mean, are you talking about a brokerage of some kind?
I work for a broker. I'm a salesperson.
All right. Go ahead.
Okay. It seems that my problem is I get a number of people to work with as customers, but to actually get them to closing seems
in other words, you're not a salesman.
That may be the problem at this point, at least.
Would seem so.
I have no problem meeting the people and starting to work with people. They seem to enjoy working with me. But from getting from point A to point B, and B being closing, there seems to be a problem. I'm not sure if it's confidence or not.
I don't know if it's confidence, but I mean, either you are a closer or you're not.
Is not being a closer something I can, is closing something I can develop?
I suppose. I'm of the opinion that salespeople are born. I really mean that. I was talking to someone just a short time ago, and I asked, how's your sister doing? And killer. Number 1, number 2 salesperson, and she only works 3 days a week. I said, how does she do that? Because she sells. Everybody that gets into her clutches buys. Now, the other salespeople all have the same shot, and yet this lady, always number 1, number 2. Now, obviously, she is a whole lot better than her colleagues who are working 5 and 6 days a week. And she's been consistent over the years. I've known the family 10, 15 years, and she's been consistent all during that time. Number 1, number 2, number 1, number 2, always. Now, there are books that are written on closing. A lot of folks are unwilling to ask for the sale.
That, I have been told, is one of my problems.
Well, if you're not willing to ask for it, find a new way to make a living. I'm serious.
My wife would love to hear that.
Well, it's true, but you've got to do it. You've got to ask.
I think I can develop it. I love the real estate business, even that part of it.
What do you like about it?
I like the people aspect of it, relating to the people. Actually, I like the one settlement that I have had. It was a pleasure to serve the person and to see their dream fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
I look forward to that. I think that it's what I'm best qualified for, I guess, other than the closing part now that I'm talking to you.
Mm-hmm. Well, all I can tell you, Tiger, is that you've got to get, a salesperson, there's a difference between a salesman and an order taker. An order taker, somebody wants to, generally, let's talk about insurance for a moment, shall we?
Okay.
Generally speaking, automobile insurance is purchased, it is not sold. Generally. Because everybody knows they got to have an automobile policy. Related to your business, more often than not, a homeowner's policy is not sold. You buy a house, you got to have a homeowner's policy, right?
Right.
But life insurance is almost always sold, not purchased. Somebody's got to go in there and persuade them.
Okay.
Which do you think pays better? The guy who sells life insurance or automobile insurance?
I would think the guy that's doing the automobile insurance.
No. The life insurance, why? Any damn fool can write automobile insurance.
I was thinking because the automobile insurance is a requirement. They have to.
Yes, but anybody can do it.
Okay.
You don't have to pay huge commissions.
Okay.
You do have to be knowledgeable. I don't mean to insult anybody in the casualty business, and I used to be in that business. But the point is that the guy who goes out and sells life insurance creates the sale.
Okay.
Now, why do you think he gets paid a lot more money?
Okay.
Because he's sold something, he's created something, as opposed to just writing an order.
Okay.
That's the difference.
And with real estate, I have to create.
Well, you got to give people options. Hey, would the house on Main Street or Elm Street be more satisfactory? You got a good answer there, don't you? Either way.
Right.
Do you prefer the two-story that we looked at, or are you more comfortable in the ranch? Would a closing in September be more advantageous, or perhaps to get the kids into school, or do you want to wait till October? Those are all good answers. Not, do you want it or don't you?
And
what destroys me, you go into a store, a convenience store, something like that.
Okay.
And 9 times out of 10, the kid behind the counter, is that it? No, I don't have any its. I don't buy its. But aggravates me. Is that it? What's more appropriate, is there anything else I can get you? Or we having a special today on donuts or something, you see.
Okay.
That's a salesperson. Is that it? That's somebody out the door if they're working for me.
Okay. So if the people aspect of my business is going fine, then I definitely need to work on the part of the sales.
Absolutely.
And becoming a salesperson.
That's what it's all about.
Yes.
That's what it's all about.
I think I've neglected that part.
Well, that's the most important. You're neglecting the most important part.
Well, at least I feel now that I know why it's not working.
Go get him, kid.
All right, thank you.
I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in for more. This is Talknet. Allenwood, Pennsylvania, thank you very much for your patience, and thank you so much for joining us.
Bruce, it's an honor to speak with you.
Well, thank you.
Sir, I've got some information I'm trying to resolve, I guess, with legal from a previous state I lived in.
Mm-hmm.
I had a problem with my daughter who at a public school got hit in the face by another student.
How old a child?
She was 7 at the time.
All right.
She required to get 5 stitches in her upper lip, and it left a permanent scar. Now, the school district did not want to compensate us for anything, including insurance. My personal insurance did pick up the majority of the expenses.
All right.
But as far as the scar and everything else, they didn't do anything with that. When I went to a lawyer, it was approximately 2 years ago, like I said, he said he would do it on consignment. And
contingency.
Contingency, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
And he said that he would take it, and the school itself provided the picture for the lawyer. Now, we moved from that state into Pennsylvania now, and I keep calling the lawyer approximately every 45 days to every 60 days, and he keeps telling me that they're going to make us an offer. And I'm just wondering, how long should I wait?
Well, I'd go back and ask him to force the issue. I mean, I'm curious, on what basis do you feel that you should be compensated?
Well,
in other words, what did the school do wrong? That's what this is going to hinge on.
What it was is the school admitted they had paralegals watching the students at recess, and there was no paralegals on the playground at the time. So they
paralegals?
Yes, that's what they were called.
Not paralegals are people who work as lawyers.
Well, they were
paraprofessionals, maybe.
That's a very good possibility, sir. And like I said, and there was none of them on there. They admitted there was nobody out there watching the students at the time.
The kids are all by themselves.
Yes, approximately 200.
This was during what a recess period, or between the morning and afternoon, or what?
It happened right at lunchtime.
Do the kids go home for lunch?
No, they do not.
Okay, then they're in their total care and custody. All right. And there was nobody out there, huh?
Yes, and the principal of the school did admit that they had nobody out there because they called them in to have some kind of conference at the time of lunch. Now, he has given that to the lawyer in writing. And right now, it's just, we don't know what to do. She does, like I said, have a permanent scar, and every time she smiles, she's got this big white spot on her upper lip. And it's very noticeable.
Well, but with plastic, that can go away.
Yeah, that's, I guess, one of the big things we're trying to find out, because the school right now is telling us, or not the school, the lawyer is telling us don't worry about it, but it's been almost 2 years right now.
Well, it would not be. You realize your daughter can reopen this when she turns 18.
Yes, I did hear you say that on other shows.
But beyond that, I'd call the attorney, ask him what the holdup is. I mean, you have to understand that what seems like an eternity to you and to me is a heartbeat to the law.
Yes.
I mean, these guys, they just move inordinately slowly. The system, I think they must have a course in patience 1, 2, 3 somewhere in law school. Because, if you go to a county courthouse, you just see dozens of men and women hanging out, waiting for their chance before the judge. It just seems like it's a tremendous waste of time.
Okay.
But I'd get back to the guy and say, I want a specific, I think I'd write him this time, and request an answer in writing.
We have done that on specific, numerous times. We've sent them certified letters, everything. And the only thing we get back is we're working on it.
Well, I'd want something more specific than that.
Okay, I think I was going to give him a call tomorrow, and I think I will for sure now, sir.
Very well.
Thank you very much.
I do wish you well, Guy. Rochester, your turn.
Hi, Bruce.
Hello.
I love your show, and I've learned a lot, and I can't believe it's as easy as it was to get through.
I keep explaining to folks it's like falling off a log, and we'll bring the log.
My question is in reference to some disagreements I'm having with my tenants. I have a 2-family home that we rent out, both sides, and there's one furnace which heats both units, and a thermostat is in this one particular tenant's apartment. Now, I started out foolish, and I never put a lockbox.
A lockbox on what?
On the thermostat, and let him.
Slow down. How could you do that?
Well, I guess in places I've lived, there's like a little. Did I say that they pay for the heat? I pay for the heat.
Without respect to that, I mean, you have to have the ability to control the heat in your unit. You might want to turn it down.
Well, that was the idea. He said that this way he could control it, and if it was too warm, he would turn it down, and at night, etc. And since then, he has gotten married and has a baby. So we said we would keep an eye on the bills and see how they went, and if they showed a dramatic increase, then maybe we would change the situation so that they didn't have access to it, because I think some people can abuse.
I don't believe you have a right to do that.
That's what I was wondering, and I want to do the right thing.
Well.
And I was wondering if, like I say, I've lived in places where there have been lock boxes on.
In other words, you lived in a place where you had no control over your heat, whatever?
Exactly.
What was this? What kind of heat did they have where you lived?
It was, I think, just gas heat. I'm not sure.
Just hot air heat?
Hot air.
And you couldn't control it. That's absurd.
It seemed, because I know that, particularly when the landlord was paying for it, if it was too warm, people would have their windows open.
Well, that's still absurd.
Yeah, but I guess what I was told was that you have to have it on, obviously, from a certain point in October.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
What is the problem that the heat? Do you have one heating source for 2 apartments? Is that it?
Yes.
Then you're going to have to pay for it. No question about that.
Right, exactly. I know that, and I was just wondering if it's getting quite high, and I'm wondering if it's because they're turning it up.
Maybe.
And not being as moderate as you might be if you were paying the bill yourself.
Well, I'm not very moderate. I keep my house pretty warm in the wintertime and cool in the summertime. But I just can't imagine how you could just have people with no control over their own destiny in that respect.
Really? I didn't think it was that unusual, but that's what I was wondering.
Right, might not be. Maybe I'm living in the wrong world.
Right. But you don't with any of your places.
Well, I only have a couple of free places that I rent right now, and they are the tenant provides their own heat, and with an individual unit, individual furnace. So I don't have that problem.
And the other one is he pays for the electricity himself, and how responsible? I know I'm responsible, but he's saying that.
Wait a minute. What do you mean you're responsible?
Well, I was going to say that I'm responsible for his refrigerator and his stove. I own them.
Yeah, well, that doesn't matter.
Well, he thinks that the refrigerator is not being economical enough, and that it's causing his bill to be too high. And he wants me to put a new gasket in the seal, I guess.
Well, that might not be unreasonable, but I'm surprised if he might have come back and say this is an older refrigerator and it's less efficient, and that's probably the case.
That is the case.
But
and I'm wondering, do I go out and get a new? It's not that old, but
that's up to. Well, here's the thing. How hard is it to rent an apartment where you are? In other words, or put it another way, these people pay their rent on time?
Yes.
All right. And they take reasonable care of the place and don't close? All right. How hard is it to get a decent tenant?
Oh, it's not very hard.
Okay. For me, it seems to be a very difficult task.
We live right near a university, and we actually don't even have to pay to advertise. It works out quite nicely because the students come in, and it's from a nice university. So,
well, nice university or not, I mean, if I was there, I'd get the guys that belong to the frat that was designed to have food fights every night. I mean, it seems to follow me around like a dark cloud.
Right. Well, so far.
What I'm trying to get to is if they're good tenants, you go a little bit out of your way to keep them, or I would certainly.
Right. Okay. Okay, well, that sounds good.
I mean, if there's a gasket on the fridge, sure, I'd change the gasket on the fridge.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And like I said, I'm very impressed with how easy it was. I'll call again.
I hope you do.
Thank you.
Walker, Minnesota, your turn on Talknet. Welcome.
Yeah, hello, Bruce.
Hello, baby.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Yeah, well, I've got a problem here in Walker. I let my sister's friend store a lot of equipment in one of my sheds I live out in country. And the original agreement was that he could have it here from November until April.
What kind of equipment?
Well,
I don't want an inventory. Just generally.
It's lawn service equipment.
Okay.
Okay, it's probably about $5,000.
Right. He was in the lawn service business, and he wanted someplace to park up in the winter.
Right.
Okay.
He was living in Minneapolis and moved to Colorado. Okay, and he did not come back until last month, around the 15th of July, to pick up the stuff. And all he took was part of it, and he left all the rest here.
Did you talk to him?
Yes.
And what did he say?
He said he would be back August 15th to get the rest.
Well, did he say where he's been? I mean, how come you weren't here in April like we agreed?
He didn't have a way to get here.
How about the telephone? Did he have one of those?
Yes, he does.
Did he call you?
No, he did not.
Huh. Did you remind him of that?
Yes, I did.
And what did he say?
Well, he was busy. He didn't have any transportation at that time and blah, 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 So he promised to be back on August 15th to get the rest, and
he hasn't showed up, obviously.
Hasn't showed up, and he's back in Colorado, and I don't think he's coming back to get it.
I'd send him a notice, registered mail, or certified mail.
Yeah.
That as of the, whatever day you write the thing, that since you were charging him, pick a number, $10 a day for storage.
Okay.
And that if you don't hear from him give him 30 days, you will assume this is the items are abandoned, and you will sell them to liquidate, or you will take them for liquidated damages. That's not real legal, but I think they'll put them on notice.
And do I have a right to sell this?
I don't know that. Now, ask me if I'd sell it.
Would you sell it?
In a heartbeat.
Yeah. Well, I thought about it.
I'd give them the 30 days I described to you.
Right. And send a registered letter.
Certified letter. It's cheaper registered. Return receipt requested.
Okay.
And if he doesn't respond, my attitude would be I had to get rid of this stuff.
Okay, sounds good to me.
I do wish you well, dear.
All right, thank you.
People that constantly take advantage of others like that don't deserve consideration. And yes, if you bend the law a little bit in that, I don't have a problem. I'm Bruce Wiggins. This is Talknet. We go to WFLA country, Tampa, Florida. Hello there.
Hi.
How you doing, baby?
I'm doing okay.
Good.
I was employed by a specific healthcare institution for 21 years.
By a what, honey?
Healthcare institution.
A healthcare institution. Is it like a hospital, like? Or like a nursing home?
Yeah, I guess you might say that.
Pardon me?
Kind of, yeah.
What do you mean, kind of?
It's an entire system. It's a whole group of things. But I was employed for 21 years in a specialty area.
Maybe I'm confused. What do you mean a whole group of things?
Well, it involves hospitals and
This is a private company, is that so?
Yeah, I guess so. It's not a for-profit.
It's a non-profit organization.
It's a non-profit organization.
And what do they do?
Healthcare. All kinds of healthcare.
Could you be more maybe I'm being
hospital healthcare.
They operate hospitals?
Yes.
And what else do they do?
Home healthcare, ambulatory care services, those types of things. Everything in the health system.
Okay.
I had worked for the institution for 21 years, and I was let go today because of a number of things that had to do with combining of all kinds of services.
You mean they're downsizing and combining different operations?
Yes, I believe that's a good way to put it. Thank you.
That's pretty common in today's world.
Right. We were told that, we would be able to keep our positions if we applied for them and was the best person for the job. I did apply for the job, and I do know for a fact that I had more experience than the person they have chosen to give the job to. But besides that, I was basically told I was let go today, and then after about 6 hours, I was told I wasn't. That maybe some mistake had been made, and I should have been offered something else in the institution. And so I was a little confused by all of that.
Well, a little confused by it. I would assume you're kind of grateful.
I don't think so.
No?
I think I'm just a little confused.
Well, after they threw you out and then you got back in again, didn't that make you feel good? Or at least, by golly, I'm still working?
Well, actually, no. I was just a little confused as to why they didn't offer me the position originally, since I knew I was the person best qualified for it.
Well, honey, the best qualified person very regularly doesn't get the job.
Yeah, I guess that's the case.
I mean, that's the real world.
So you don't think this is unusual?
No. Hey, it's a practical matter. If there was somebody's cousin was looking for that job, they may not be as well qualified, but they were born in the right family. I sat next to a lady on the plane today. Boy, did I sit next to people on the plane today. 5-hour delay. Oh, it took a time to spare go by air. I can't tell you what a great humor I was in when I got here. We were talking about, what we do, what you do for a living. So, well, she said, I don't want to get too specific, but the wind-up was she was born in the right family. Her grandfather started a business, and her parents got it even bigger, and she clips coupons. Now, if she used that, and she worked there for a while.
Oh, I clip coupons, too.
Yeah, but I mean, well, that's okay. You clip the kind at a supermarket, yeah.
Well,
what I'm trying to get to is that lady went down and looked for a job at that particular company, and you had the job. Who do you suppose is going to leave?
The person with the most salary.
No, you. If she came in and wanted your job, who do you think is going to get the job?
Not me.
Oh, that's right. You kicked out.
Yeah, well, obviously.
That's the way life is. I mean, it's just, if you're connected,
I guess what I don't understand is that we originally were told that we would be offered another position before we would be let go.
I understand that. But so somebody changed their mind. Somebody screwed up. It happens all the time.
So that's just the way it works.
That's life, of course.
Well, I can understand that, I guess.
I mean, you're in the hospital business, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'll bet they carry errors and omissions or malpractice insurance.
Probably.
Why do you suppose they do that?
I don't know why.
Because people screw up. Happens. Don't lose any sleep over. Be glad you got the job.
Oh, I'm not.
Okay, honey.
Thanks.
I wish you well. Hi, Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Ava, Missouri. Hello there.
Hello, Bruce. Good talking to you. I have a good question for you this evening.
Okay.
2 years ago, my in-laws passed away in New York, and the only asset in their estate was a house. Now, we found out that on this house was a lien from New York State Sales Tax Department for $70,000.
These guys were in business, I take it?
Yes.
And they didn't pay the sales tax.
Right. Right. And he had been paying this sales tax for a number of years, but there was still a $70,000 lien on the house.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see now. I have an attorney working on it, and through him we found out that the lien has expired this past September. Now, right now, my sister-in-law is living in the house. We don't have any funds to maintain the house, and we'd like to sell the house.
How much is the house worth?
It was appraised at $220,000.
Mm-hmm.
But we were told that although the lien has expired, that the state can come back anywhere within 10 years and get that $70,000.
Well, it's a practical matter. Why don't you sell the house and pay it off?
Well, can I do that? In other words, if I have a buyer that comes to me, well, when I go to closing,
you'll have an attorney representing you, right?
Right.
The attorney will have made arrangements with the state to take so much money and put it in escrow at the time of closing.
Okay, the attorney is trying to get a hold of the state right now, and for the past year, he hasn't been able to contact them. And
oh, nonsense! I don't believe that.
It's just a round and round thing.
Hold on. I don't believe that. I don't mean I don't believe you. I don't believe him.
Right.
I mean, I could get hold of the state tax division on the phone in a matter of minutes during a business day.
Right.
Now, it may take a few days to get things straightened out, but there are people that would be very happy to take the money.
Okay. I'm sure they will. But I can go ahead and put the house on the market.
Sure.
And it'll run smoothly.
Well, I'm saying that, yes. Who's the personal representative or the executor of the estate?
That would be my wife.
Well, then she's got to put it on the market.
Right, that's what I mean. But she can go ahead and put it on the market.
Of course. And you'll settle with the state at closing.
Okay.
Then that way you can deliver a clean title.
Right. Right, okay.
I don't know what your attorney's talking about. They can't reach anybody in the sales tax division in a year.
I don't know, but this has been going on way too long. We can't even settle the estate without selling the house.
Right. I'd get it over with if I were you.
All right.
I wish you well, kid. We go now to Chicago, Illinois. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce. How you doing?
I'm doing real well.
Good. Long-time listener. I really enjoy your show.
Thank you.
I have a situation at my work. Work for a small, privately held software company. Got about 100 employees. I've been in sales for the company about 3 years. In my career, I've been in sales about 6 years. And there's been some shake-ups every once in a while in the company within our sales and marketing department. And there's been a director of sales position open for about 12 months at the company right now. And so we're kind of without direction.
How many people on the sales staff?
We have outside reps, which I have one of 6, so 6 regional people. And then we have internal sales people and administrative people then. And it's sort of an interesting story in that the director of sales position opened for such a long time. And there were 2 previous directors of sales that last year that each lasted 3 months because they upset the owner or whatever somebody didn't like them because they didn't last long. Anyways, I've been approached by the vice president of sales saying, why don't I take that job? And I've expressed some of my most immediate concerns are where I sort of feel that if it doesn't work out there, they make quick decisions and won't allow me to sort of give me a chance in that position. I think, to rebuild something should take 12 to 18 months. And I'm kind of at a quandary here. I'm not sure if I want to stay with the company, if I want to take this position, and I don't know. It seems unusual to me to be without a key sales position in a company from my experience. I don't know.
Well, sales are where it's at. How is the business going? How is the business doing?
Flat. It's been flat. Sales are flat, and also it's just we don't have any focus, and I'm sure that's kind of obvious after not having anyone in the director position.
Doesn't somebody on the top realize this?
They do, but obviously to let the position remain open for that length of time, I'm not sure if they're what the message is there. So I'm looking at it as, is this a good career move for me? First of all, I want to move forward in my career. I'd like the experience, but I want to be given the chance, and I'm a little bit hesitant that, if things don't work out quickly, they'll turn around and get rid of me.
Would they give you a contract?
That's my question. Is it reasonable for me to, approach them?
I would think so.
And they shouldn't have a problem with that.
No, I didn't say that. I mean, the way you're describing these folks, who knows what they may have a problem with or not.
Right.
But it seems to me that since the last 2 or 3 people that had their head in the block, they got a very... Let me ask you this. You were there. How are these guys doing by your estimation?
I think they were on the right track, but they upset the owner of the company, who's sort of a control freak. And
upset him how?
Told him where his problems were at in the company, and I don't think the owner wanted to hear that. I just think the owner wanted to see things get done, but didn't want to hear about the problems, and heard about the problems too often to the point where he just didn't want to hear about it anymore, and got rid of them. I mean, that's my assessment of it.
I'm not sure I want to work with a company like that.
Well, that's my question, is I'm not sure I do either, but I also don't know where else I can go from my sales position. And I mean, maybe I can use it as a transition to get some, get the director title on my resume. How important is that?
Well, obviously titles impress a lot of people. How long have you been with the company?
3 years.
What's the average tenure among the sales folks?
Average, that's a good question. There's one guy that's been there 8 years. Two are within the year.
In other words, there's no long-termers there then.
Yeah, there's no.
How long has the company been around?
About 15 years.
Doesn't that tell you something?
But isn't that typical of salespeople in companies?
No, not necessarily, no.
Okay. Well, if I was to approach them with a contract, I mean, how would I go about that? I mean,
just straight up. I'd like to apply for the whatever title we're going to put on this. And when you get talking about it, you're going to say, I realize that there's been some turnover here, and perhaps justifiably so. On the other hand, I would prefer not to put myself in that circumstance without some type of a guarantee, because in my opinion, it's going to take 18 months, we'll say, to turn this thing around. And I've got to have the whole 18 months. And therefore, to guarantee that, I would like an employment contract that gives me that 18 months, or in the alternative, I get paid if you want me to go away. If they want it badly enough, they'll go for it. If they don't, if I were you, I'd be looking for someplace else to work, because it doesn't sound like a very solid environment to me. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. Treasure Island, Florida. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm playing a dentist game. I'm miserable. How are you?
I share the same thing with you. I'm learning how to talk with a new partial plate.
Oh, boy. Well, anyway, go ahead.
What I want to complain about is I want to respond to that doctor that called the other night, wanted to be compensated for his time regarding the airline, which already gave him $50. I want to remind him.
Hold on. We're talking about the fellow. He was hung up someplace overnight, as I recall.
Yes.
And so he had to drive 7 or 8 hours to make his appointment the next morning.
Correct.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, I want to remind him that he keeps his patients waiting in his damn waiting room for 2 hours or more, and we would like to be compensated for the time that he keeps us waiting. And why is he booking 6 patients at the same time, exact same time? and the waiting room is, and then he sets you in a chair when he does take you back for another 30 minutes, and he's in the next room with another patient. So I didn't appreciate his complaint. I was hoping that you would remind him about him keeping us waiting in his office.
Well, not every physician keeps you waiting, but many do. There's no question about that.
Yes, and I'm very bitter toward it. I'm building up resentment. The longer I sit there, the more resentful I am toward that doctor. And by the time I get in to see him, I am really bitter.
You got a head of steam worked up, huh?
I sure have, and I think millions of other people have also. And that's just what I wanted to say, Bruce, and thanks.
Very well. Thank you, honey. I understand that frustration. I hate to sit around waiting rooms as well. The counter-argument is that the physician, the dentist, or whatever, doesn't know exactly how long they have to spend with each patient until they get them in there. But I do think that oftentimes the office people overschedule to be certain the doctor's time is maximized to the detriment of the patient. East Moline, Illinois. Hello. East Moline, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry.
Let's do it.
Hi, Bruce. I've heard you talking about the fact that it's better to spend on a car that's older than to just go ahead and buy a new one in many cases.
I've said that in some circumstances, yes.
Yeah.
And certainly not. When somebody says, I'm 22 years old and I'm making $15,000 a year, I want to buy a $30,000 car, what am I going to say?
Well, I am 22, but...
oh, you're 22. Yeah. What a great number. What is it you want?
Well, I don't own the car myself, but it is kind of mine.
Well, how can that be?
Well, I'm still living at home, going to a university nearby and working out that way. But anyway, the car is an 84 model and has 69,000 miles on it. And we've been having a lot of maintenance to have to do with it. And I looked over what we've done this year. And
how much?
We've spent about $2,400 this year up to this point.
You must have had at least one or two major things.
Yeah.
What?
Let's see, like the transmission, something to do with that. I don't know that. I don't remember all the terms. There's, it's been quite a few things. The heater coil, just the fluid in the transmission. Something was leaking. It needed to be kind of fixed up there. Various things like that. But the car continues to run well, and we have a neighbor who thinks we're losing money doing this. We'd be better off buying a new one than pouring a lot of money into this.
You said what is this, belonging to your parents, this car?
Yeah, it is in their name.
But who owns the car really? Is it your car?
It's not my car. No, they really own it.
I mean, it's their car. They'll let you use it. That's what it comes down to.
That's right.
Well, how in the world are you going to pay for a new car?
Well, it wouldn't be up to me. They would, buy one if they thought that, for instance, we, are better off with one. But right now, the way I look at it, I mean, I've heard you say that, something to the effect of it's better to drive the wheels off it, so to speak.
Indeed, and I don't think 22-year-old college students deserve new cars.
Right. I'm not thrilled at a new car. I'd rather just keep this one.
I would do so.
So you'd think we're not really losing out. I told you how much we've spent this year.
Yeah, but you had a bad year. You still have a car with only 70,000 miles. That's not a high mileage car.
Yeah, I've heard that too. Yeah, that it's not that high for 10 years.
What year are you in school?
I'm a junior.
This ought to get you all the way through college with no trouble.
Yeah, I think so.
I wouldn't get a new car.
So it's not really you answered my question.
You have lots of time for new cars. The collision insurance is going to cost you a fortune at your age. You don't have to carry it now. This was paid for, which is another good reason not to buy a new car. Time enough. You'll have lots of new cars in your life, my friend.
Okay, thanks, Bruce.
I do wish you well. I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in. This is Talknet. All righty, we go west to Home, Washington. Hello there.
Hi there.
Hi.
I'm so glad you're taking my call. I've listened to you for a long time and never expected that I'd have to actually call and ask for some advice.
Oh, son of a gun.
But here I am. I have a question concerning your advice, and the advice needs to be whether I should seek out another attorney to at least ask some questions or even represent myself with regard to an attorney that I'm dealing with right now.
Well, fill me in.
I was a creditor in a bankruptcy, and the debtor agreed in bankruptcy court to settle with me, and I was to give him a figure I was willing to settle on. The amount he owed me was $221,000, But I agreed.
How did you get that kind of an obligation?
It was a real estate contract.
Mm-hmm.
And actually what happened was, some history to this very briefly. There was a trust fund. The trust fund was actually taken. And so the people went to court that were the owners of the trust fund. The people who took it were found guilty, including this person. And the judge ordered that $1.5 million be paid back. So the person owing that filed bankruptcy. Okay, so my obligation, I was second in line in this situation, right behind a bank. So I have $221,000 sitting out there. I agree to take $110,000 plus all of my attorney fees and costs that I had incurred in this particular issue. To date, I had paid about $2,500 to the attorney. So I made sure that he understood very clearly that $110,000 was mine, plus all of the attorney fees and costs that I had paid, plus whatever he would need to recapture. But when he sent in the request, he only sent it in for $113,000. So the check came, and I said, gosh, all I'm going to owe you is really $441. So I hadn't heard from him. He was not there the day I went to pick up the check. So 2 weeks later, I get a little letter in the mail that says two things. First, it says, we've received an objection to your claim based upon the fact that you received full satisfaction, et cetera, et cetera. And additionally, we need to talk about the legal fee cap aspect of your settlement. So I called back the next day, and I asked for his accounting department to give me a reconciliation. And at the same time, I left a message on his voicemail saying, gosh, I was really flabbergasted. I thought this thing was completely settled, but you probably better send me a copy of whatever the claim is. So the claim is now from the debtor saying that he owes nothing because the claim was paid by one of his corporations. But what's interesting is, and I agree with that, I have no problem with that, it says a hearing will be held on this objection before a particular bankruptcy court, etc. And that's what concerns me, because I'm sorry the guy shot himself in the foot by not asking for enough money to cover his own obligations plus reimbursing me. But now I'm going to have to deal with him again. But now he doesn't call me anymore to talk. He sends me letters in the mail 2 weeks after, almost 3 weeks after I'd received the settlement money.
And what is the content of the letters?
The content of the letter?
What does he want, more money?
No, he doesn't want more money. He wants to talk to me about the legal fee cap. And I have a feeling he's going to argue that even though he didn't ask for enough money to cover it, that I still will owe him because he did the work. I'm making that assumption. I don't know what he's going to say, but if I were an attorney with in a big law firm, which he is a part of, I'd feel really awkward saying, oh gosh, I really blew this thing. I should have asked for more to cover what she had paid me, plus what we'd actually...
Awkward or not, they've got to feel awkward and get their money, or get the money. And you said there's under what grounds is the objection filed, that you were a preferred creditor in some way?
No, only that, and without saying a name, I'll read it. It says that the creditor has settled this claim against the debtor by payment of the claim by a co-debtor, which is what they did. In other words, he had his corporation pay me rather than paying me personally.
Mm-hmm. I'd go see you're kind of presuming things here.
Mm-hmm.
I'd go see him and see what he wants.
Okay.
But the court, as I remember what you said, the court said that he was to collect reasonable attorney fees and whatever.
Well, the court didn't say that. He and I agreed that he would request that all attorney fees and costs be covered under the settlement.
And he only requested $113,000.
Right, and that was his mistake, not mine.
Well, that would seem to me that that's too bad for him.
Mm-hmm, but that's easy for you to say because you're a guy. I don't know if single women do really well saying that to attorneys in huge law firms.
Well, you're going to say it? If worse comes to worse, you may have to represent it. I don't see what's a problem.
See, that's the question I have to you is, should I seek another attorney to...
I don't know. We don't know. Until such time as you know what he wants, how can you answer that question? You go see him. You don't make any commitments. Thank you very much, and walk away. Then you'll know.
Okay.
There's no point in
I didn't want to hear you say that, but I agree you're probably right.
There's no point in floundering around in the dark here. Let's get it on the table. And if it's unreasonable, and from your perspective it very likely will be, then you go on and you deal with it from there.
Okay. If it gets confrontational, would it be better for me to back off and say...
If it gets confrontational, thank you very much. I don't think this is productive. We'll meet again.
Oh, that's good. Okay, I'm going to write that down. We can meet again.
And you walk away.
Okay. I'll give that a try.
I do wish you well, love. Aiken, South Carolina. Hello there. Aiken, are you there? Daniel? All right, we'll stay in the same state. Beaufort, South Carolina. Hello.
How's it going, Bruce?
Okay, kid.
Yes, I was just wondering if I could ask your opinion on consolidated loans, the disadvantages and advantages of it.
Right.
Like, will it ruin my credit?
What, to consolidate loans?
No, I'm just like, I owe about $6,500.
Yeah.
I just recently got married.
Right.
And I'd just like to know what, like, if
Wait a minute. What you said was, would consolidating my debts ruin my credit?
Yeah. If I accepted this loan from...
No. Of course not. As long as you make your payments on time.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Let's start at the beginning. You have what, credit card bills, that kind of stuff?
Credit card bills and mostly credit card bills.
All right. Are you so far current?
Yes.
Right now you're current. You're not behind.
No, sir.
Okay. But you can't make the payments. Is that what you're telling me?
I can, but it's like we're living really tight and.
Well, maybe how much interest are you paying? At what rate now?
Right now?
Yeah.
It varies throughout the credit cards.
Well,
but from the consolidated loan, it would be 13.5%.
Well, that's probably less than you're paying on the credit cards.
Yes.
I have no objection to that. What I do object to is stretching it over a longer period of time.
Over 36 months?
Oh, yeah.
Is that too long?
I think so, yeah. You're a young guy. What do you do for a living?
I'm in the military.
That makes it tough, too, because it's hard to get... are you in one spot for real, or are you going to be there for a short time, or what?
I'll probably be here for the rest of my term. I plan to get out after my 4 years.
And what do you do?
I'm in the Marine Corps. I'm supply administration.
Okay, so you work 5 days a week, probably, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'd get myself a job on weekends.
Okay.
I have no problem with consolidating for a lower interest rate.
Okay.
But I do have a great problem. I mean, let's face it, you'll be paying off dinners for 3 years under your scheme.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's crazy.
Okay, and because I called the place, and they said that we'd have to close, like, Visa down. We'd have to close that account.
Yeah.
If we get this consolidation.
In other words, they don't want to have you have the access to more credit, what
yes,
they're telling you. I can understand that, too. I don't have any problem with that, as long as you start bringing some more money in.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you did some foolish stuff, and we've all done foolish things.
Yes.
But now it's time to pay the piper.
Okay.
Good luck, soldier. I'm Bruce Williams. Just one call, a Marine, a soldier. This is Talknet. We go now to Roanoke, VA. Hello there.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi.
I hope your mouth's feeling better.
It's right. It's there with me, I'll tell you. Thank you.
Sounding better.
Thank you.
Bruce, I'm selling my house and moving to Florida.
Ah, what part?
Boynton Beach.
Uh-huh.
And just a quirk in the contract. The buyer's contract, the buyer's agent or buyer had written in some of the things that they wanted to take with them, or they wanted to us to leave in the house.
Mm-hmm.
One of which was the window. What do they call it? Window trim. Window dressing?
Treatment is the word.
Window treatment, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you agree to that?
Well, I was not. I was in Florida at the time, and
well, somebody signed the contract to sell a house. What does it say?
It says the window treatment's passed.
Well, then they stay with it then.
Okay, at the time, neither myself nor my wife had any clue what window treatments were. We assumed.
Unfortunate.
Okay, so we assumed it was the rods and the curtains and that sort of thing,
mm-hmm.
and not the drapes.
Here's the thing. Were you represented again by counsel when you bought or sold this?
Yes.
And did you go over the contract with your lawyer before you signed it?
No, we did not.
This is where we have a problem, you see, in these definitions.
I don't know if, quite frankly, if the buyer hadn't called up and happened to mention something about the curtains, we would have packed them. We wouldn't even had a clue that they were included.
Mm-hmm.
And the real estate agent never explained what a window treatment was. Do you think there was any obligation for our real estate agent when they presented the contract to explain that?
First of all, you didn't have a real estate agent, I don't believe.
We're selling the house.
Oh, you're the seller.
Correct.
And you did have one. Excuse me. That's a good question. I mean, just the term itself is pretty self-explanatory to me.
Well, I assume the window treatment might be screens or anything that's affixed to the windows.
Well, let me ask you this: Did you ask the question? Since clearly you have a difference of definition here, did you ask what is window treatment?
No, because it just didn't seem significant.
Well, that's.
I mean, it like I said, it wasn't significant until somebody said.
Well, it is now.
Yeah.
The fact that you agreed to it, I think.
Legally, of course, there's we signed a contract and we've agreed to that. I'm just wondering where the agent fits in both ethically and morally.
I don't know that the agent has a responsibility to tell you anything about that contract. You're a big boy.
Uh-huh.
Now, if there's something that was not clear to you, you could ask them, or you could ask your attorney.
I think it was the fact that I assumed that I knew the definition of that particular word, and it just never even occurred to me that it meant anything other than curtains and rods.
Unfortunately, though, if you made that assumption, you made it your own peril.
Okay. All righty. Well,
I think you're stuck with it.
Oh, I know I'm stuck with it.
And
I'm
I wouldn't
wondering if I can go after the agent because it is a few $1,000s, and it's something that I think should have been pointed out to.
Well, I'm just curious, why do you say that? I mean, why is it the agent's responsibility to walk you through what you're signing?
Well, because I feel that if an agent is our representative, one of our representatives...
No. The agent's job is to bring a buyer and a seller together.
Uh-huh.
They're not your representative in other matters.
Well, when for example, they talk about the agent coming to present the contract, that implies that they are part of that process of bringing the contract.
Bringing it physically, that's all. Not defining it for you.
Okay.
As I see it. It's kind of a misunderstood role, and I know that there's some shifting sand here. But on balance, the function of a real estate broker or agent is to bring a willing and able buyer to a willing seller. And obviously the word operative term there is able. Lots of willing people without the ability to buy. Anything else they do to facilitate the sale is kind of a bonus.
Okay, well, I guess then the mistake that we made is probably relying more on our agent than we probably should have.
I wouldn't. Well, maybe. Maybe it's a fair statement. I don't know. It just occurs to me that that's what I have lawyers for. Before I sign something, tell me what this means. Now, the lawyer could very well assume that you know what it meant too.
Yeah, quite frankly, if I had brought it to a lawyer, I mean, there was nothing else in the contract that was the least bit contentious.
Well, but that's something we don't know. You haven't closed yet, have you?
No.
Well, make something else.
The lawyer is going to be reviewing it.
Something else may pop up before it's over. It's just, I think it's a mistake, but it's one you're going to have to swallow. I don't see where the real estate guy or gal had any responsibility to explain the terms to you. If you asked, what does this mean? And they gave you a bad answer, that would change things considerably. But the fact is, there was no reference ever brought to it. I think you're stuck with it. Expensive lesson, perhaps. Good luck with your new home in Florida, Tiger. And thank you guys for joining me this hour. It's been a joy. I'm Bruce Williams. This is Talknet. I'm trying to do the arithmetic. I'm dropping zeros here like crazy.
Okay.
25% of $2 million is $50 million. 25% of the other remaining is $12 million, so it'll be $62.5 million.
In the United States?
That's your numbers, 25% of the population.
Okay.
That sounds awful high to me.
I could continue getting the research on my figures, but that's what they had indicated.
Well, I don't know if people would buy something of that nature. It would seem to me that if you could make something available in pamphlet form that physicians could give to their patients.
That's what I thought, too.
Would be an easier way to get it out.
Really? Okay. I thought the health food stores, too.
That's possible.
Okay.
I do wish you well with it, dear.
Well, let me ask you, how do I get this published? I don't know anything about publishing. I can write it.
Well, that's a very difficult thing to do unless you want to pay somebody to publish it. That's called the vanity press. All you can do is submit it to companies that do similar type work, and keep submitting and keep getting rejected.
Oh, okay.
And hopefully somebody will pick up on it.
But now, let me ask you one more quick question.
Yeah.
Could I be liable if I see some of the recipes I take, I have to substitute them, just like I try to make it quick enough because you got to cook from scratch, but then if I take it from another and then substitute something like instead of chocolate caramel, is that my recipe? I mean,
you can copyright it. You can copyright it, but it's very difficult to say it's yours because you just make one minor change and it's a different recipe.
You say if you make one minor change, it is a different recipe?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do. Then it's mine,
but somebody can do the same thing to you.
Right, but they're not putting out my book.
What I'm trying to get to is the thing that you can protect is the name. But if somebody wants to go through and list your recipes, change them a little bit, they can do that.
Right, but they don't have my book out, so what do I worry about it, huh?
Well, when the book is out, they can do it. I wish you well, sweetheart. I'm Bruce Williams. Hang in. This is Talknet.